Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wrestling with Evil. My name is Luke, and this is the only channel that does Resident Evil playthroughs, does speedruns of Resident Evil games, talks about all sorts of stuff, plays through the Doom series, plays through certain fighting games like Tekken on Friday, Fighting Game Friday. I play The Binding of Isaac on Tuesdays. And today is the portion of the channel where I do tier lists. So this is a tier list, a redux of a tier list that I did before. Some things have changed, as you guys may notice. Two games came out after. Two Resident Evil games came out after I made the list. So I'm gonna redo it, and I feel a little bit differently about some games now. And you guys will get to understand what I feel or how I feel about Resident Evil 3 Remake. I'm not going to talk too much about it right now, but let's just say I have a lot to say. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Really, really appreciate it. Before I start, let me start by saying if you guys like the channel, you guys like Resident Evil, you guys like all the games that I listed, and then some, a lot more coming down the pipeline, definitely please subscribe if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to. That's up to you. And also, if you want to share this channel with your friends, that'd be awesome. Or hit that notify bell. Make sure you get all the, my live streams when I'm going live, when I pump out a new video. Yeah, hit that like button if you want to as well. Definitely helps the channel with exposure. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna put the live chat on my phone, and away we go. All right. So yeah, this is going to be fun. I always really like talking about Resident Evil because it's my favorite series. Well, I mean, that's debatable, I guess, whether it's my favorite series or not. But regardless, it's a great series. I love zombies. I always thought zombie movies back in the day when I was a kid were really kick-ass. So yeah. All right. Let's do this. What's up, Chris Smiley Face? How are you doing, man? Oh, by the way, Chris Smiley Face, would you be able to add me on Instagram, because I have a group chat going for all the mods. Yeah, I have a group chat going for all the mods on Instagram. All the mods and myself and Chris, who is also part of the channel, are on that chat as well. So it's like an open forum type thing, and basically we talk about all sorts of stuff, like trade music back and forth, and also talk about channel stuff and how we can improve the channel. So yeah, definitely please send me your Instagram, because I didn't know what it was, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's start this list off strong with Resident Evil 2. So, all right, as you guys know, Resident Evil is a big part of my life, big part of my dad's life. You're doing okay so far, and yeah, I follow you on Instagram, mate. All right, send me a message on Instagram so that way I know who you are on Instagram, because I don't know whether you have a different name or not. But yeah, so as many of you guys, as you guys may know, at least, anyways, my dad is the one who introduced me to this series. I love my dad. He's going through a lot of really bad stuff right now. He has Alzheimer's. He had cancer twice, and he can't drive anymore legally. So, you know, I have to do a lot for him. I have to help him get to bed. He has problems walking, blah, blah, blah. But my dad is my whole world, and without him, I wouldn't have started this channel in general. He's the one who introduced me to video games, you know, by and large, in a whole, you know. So, you know, I had a lot of memories, you know, watching him play Resident Evil games, and, you know, that's why I love this series so much, and that's why I like sharing it with you. But, yes, so I got a little bit sidetracked, just wanted to state that. But anyways, we're starting this list off strong with Resident Evil 2. Now, Resident Evil 2 is one of the best, I think, games ever made. It basically, like, it implements so many cool things, you know, that improved on the original Resident Evil. You know, it's less, you're less clunky. You're able to, let's see, what's different? than Resident Evil 1. I'm trying to think. Oh, I mean, honestly, William Birkin in the game is fucking awesome. He takes a bunch of really gory, gruesome, forms, and it's really cool watching him pretty much descend into madness the whole time. And then you have really awesome characters like Leon, who is my favorite Resident Evil character, as you guys know. And basically, Resident Evil 2 introduces Leon into the mix. So, I mean, he's just a great character. And then you got Claire Redfield, who is also really great. The voice actors for Leon and Claire are amazing. Allison Court, who voiced Claire, is awesome. And Paul Haddad, R.I.P. guy, R.I.P. dude. I love him. I love you. He died recently, but anyways, he played Leon, and he played Leon just so well. I don't know whether I like Resident Evil 2 Remake Leon over Resident Evil 1, or Resident Evil 2, the original, better, but, I mean, Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 2, are just different styles of games. They're just different. But yeah, so Resident Evil 2 improves a lot of what made Resident Evil in the first game. It makes everything a lot, I guess not easier, but it makes it a whole lot of fun, and less aggravating, like the hitboxes. R.I.P. Paul Haddad, I know, right? But yeah, no. Resident Evil, the original, is just amazing. It brings a lot to the table. It's very cinematic. I love the opening to the game. The opening to the game is so incredible. Like when that tanker smashes into Leon and Claire, and then even when they first meet each other in the kitchen area, the restaurant, and she's like, "Don't shoot," and he's just like, "Get down." Boom, and then just shoots a zombie right in the head. It's just a really, really great game. Where I'm gonna put it is obviously S tier. Oh, you know what? Hold on. All right, I forgot to go through what these tiers are. So S tier is obviously the best. It's GOAT, GOAT, which stands for greatest of all time, and Resident Evil 2 is definitely on par with greatest of all time. And then you have A tier, which is, that's for the great games. Not quite the best, but still great. And then you got the B tier, which those games are really good, but not great. And then C tier is average, an average game. D is underwhelming. Just games that, didn't deliver as much as, they could have. Like, there being potential there, but the game just wasn't that great. And then F tier is just straight garbage that you don't want to play. Don't waste your time. So like I said, Resident Evil 2, the original, is so good. It introduces Mr. X, who is just this trench coat, wearing random dude that pops up, and he just smacks the fucking shit out of you. And then when he transforms into his final form, dude, it's crazy. It's so good. And then, like I said, Resident Evil 2 introduces lickers as enemies. Just a lot of really cool stuff. I love, all the sub characters like Ada, Sherry, William Birkin, who's pretty much a character in his own right. Like, I know he's the main antagonist, but he's really awesome. And then you have Annette Birkin, who is also really cool, Ben Bertolucci, and Chief fucking Irons, man. Chief Irons. Chief Irons is fucking awesome in this game. He's just dark and fucked up, and it's a great story. It's a great story. Also, Resident Evil 2's Raccoon City Police Department looks fucking awesome. Especially, for PS1 days. Dude, I still love playing that game, and I've played that game multiple times on stream. I've speedran it. It's a great fun game, and it's one of the best Resident Evil games ever made, and like I said, one of the best games ever made, period. Alright, so I talked about Resident Evil 2, let's move on. Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now, see, this is a difficult one because this game is fucking awesome. Um, Actually, you know what? Let's go back to Resident Evil 2 because I wanted to talk about this, and I didn't talk about this in the last list for Resident Evil that I did. Resident Evil 2, there's a lot of amazing things about it, don't get me wrong, but there's one or two parts in the game in particular that kind of suck. That's Ada's and Sherry's part, because basically you have to dodge through a bunch of stuff, and then, it's just not that great. And you could easily die in that part if you're not paying attention as Sherry. So it's just, I don't know, that part in particular is not my favorite part. It's like the part that I dread when I play Resident Evil 2, but overall the game's great. Also, another nitpick that I have is that when you're Claire and you have Sherry by you and you need to run somewhere, sometimes Sherry will sit down and you have to go back and go by her, and then she stands back up and then she starts walking with you again. Sometimes it'll just fuck up your speed run, It's definitely annoying a little bit. But like I said, Resident Evil 2 is great. So, yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Resident Evil Code Veronica a little bit. I'd like to see Mr. X beat the hell out of William Birkin. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. But Willie B definitely fucked him up in Resident Evil 2 Remake. We'll talk about that in a little bit. What's up, Tiff? How you doing? Got 5 people in the chat. What's up, everybody? So, yeah, Resident Evil Code Veronica. This game's fucking awesome. There are a few nitpicks that I have with this game, which is why it's not the best Resident Evil game of all time. Damn near close, though, but not the best. There's a certain part in the game where if you don't have the right items with Chris or Claire, you're going to have to reset the whole entire game pretty much. And that sucks because halfway through the game, you become Chris. You start off as Claire, and then you play as Chris Redfield. So it's just, I don't know. It's an awkward transition. And if you don't, I mean, obviously, if you play the game for the first time, you're not going to know that. So it's going to fuck you up. It's really going to fuck you up. But like I said, Code Veronica is great. It's very creepy. It has a very odd atmosphere to it. Alfred Ashford and Alexia Ashford are fucking weird and just crazy. And, they have that sinister vibe to them. Alfred is like a cross-dresser, cross-dresses like his sister at one point. And then you find out that Alexia is actually a real person and not Alfred in a wig. And then it's just a really fucked up, it's a really fucked up game. It kind of has like a little incesty vibes to it with Alfred and Alexia, which is kind of whatever, that'll creep somebody out, but that's the creepiness that they're trying to go for. A lot of the bosses kind of suck in Resident Evil Code Veronica. Not gonna lie, that worm boss, you don't even really have to fight it. You can just avoid it. I think you have to fight it as Chris, but yeah, you don't really have to fight the worm boss as Claire. So, it's whatever. A lot of really cool enemies were introduced in Code Veronica. You had the hunter Zetas, I think, which, they become poisonous, which they're a fucking pain in the ass. Fuck those hunters. I can't even deal with them. I hate them. But no, honestly, the game took kind of like an outdated formula with Resident Evil games and created a really awesome game. But like I said, the transition from Claire to Chris, it gets really fucked up. It's like if you were to defuse a bomb and you cut the red wire instead of the green wire. You know what I'm talking about. Like that'll pretty much make a bomb blow up in your face, and then you have to restart the whole fucking thing all over again. So yeah, Code Veronica is great, but it could be better. And honestly, Code Veronica, it's not the best looking game. This was the first game. Actually, it was originally for the Dreamcast, but they eventually, ported it to PlayStation 2 and Xbox and whatever, yada yada yada, GameCube. So yeah, Code Veronica is great. But like I said, it just, I'm just trying to think of like all the really redeeming qualities of the game. I mean, the Nosferatu boss fight is amazing. The fight on the plane with the tyrant is hard, but it's rewarding and it's fun. Let's see. And the end boss fight is kind of but it's still great. And then, and I really, really love Alexia. When she turns into a tyrant, that part of the game to me is like the coolest part, because she throws blood and then it sets on fire and it becomes fire. Like, that is just so inventive. I don't even know how the fuck they even thought of something like that. It was awesome. And this game, Code Veronica, needs to be fucking remade. That is a fact. It needs a remake. Yeah, so it's all good, man. How about you? Welcome, Michael. I'm glad that you're doing good, man. Nothing, just playing Resident Evil 2 Remake. Nice. Are you getting scared? When I played Resident Evil 2 Remake for the first time, I was actually pretty decently scared. Like, it's a very scary game, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, like I said, by and large, Code Veronica is a really excellent game. It's a very long game. I will say that. It's like a 6-hour playthrough, honestly. You could probably speed run it in like an hour or two, depending on, how fast you do it. So yeah, I mean, Code Veronica is great. I'll put it in, let's see. I'm going to put it in, besides the transition from Claire to Chris, I think the game is excellent, so I'm going to put it in the great tier for now, and let's see if I change my mind in a little bit. Yeah, but like I said, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. And Wesker, actually, I didn't mention it, but Wesker comes back in Code Veronica, and it continues the feud with Chris and Wesker, so that's really awesome, too. I also really like the voice actor that plays Wesker in the game. It's really, it's just like, he does the voice well. I forget who it is, but it's a great voice for Wesker in Code Veronica, not gonna lie. Way better than the 5th one. But yeah, so let's move on to the next game. Hold on, I'm just gonna take a sip of soda real quick. All right, I got 7 people in the live chat. What's up, everybody? Code Veronica is your favorite Resident Evil game. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. It's a great game. But like I said, that transition for new players, that will get very, very confusing very, very quickly. So yeah, like I said, let's move on. Oh wow, they have Resident Evil Deadly Silence on here. Okay, that's gonna be awesome. I really, really, okay. Yeah, I'll talk about that too. What game is missing from here? I feel like a game is missing. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think all the games are here. Whatever. Okay, so Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles. Let's talk about that. Basically, it follows the story of Claire Redfield. In Raccoon City, it tells the story of Claire Redfield and with Leon, and then Claire Redfield with Steve Burnside. Obviously in Code Veronica. It's basically a retelling of the games, or a telling again of the games, but it's in it's a rail shooter. It's an on-rail shooter. You can't really move around or anything. It's just like a straight on-rail shooter. This is actually one of the better games that aren't mainline title. Just because, for the simple fact that you get to see Raccoon City again. You get to see Kendo's gun shop again. You get to see... Oh, that's another thing that I didn't mention about Resident Evil 2. Kendo. Man, I fucking love Kendo. Kendo's awesome. But yeah, I gotta stop talking about Resident Evil 2. It's a great game. Phenomenal game. But No, Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles. It's it's interesting because like I said, you get to see Kendo's gun shop again. You get to see the Raccoon City Police Department. Things kind of change around a little bit. It's a little bit more fast paced. Because like I said, it's an on rail shooter. You basically go in a certain path and face all the enemies in the game pretty much. And it's a lot of fun, especially playing with a friend. It's supported by Light Gun, and it's on the Wii too, so you can play it on the Wii with the Wiimote. It's definitely a lot of fun. I would love to play that on stream one day. I really, really would. But yeah, like I said, Dark Side Chronicles, man, it's just a really cool game. There's nothing special about it really. It's just, like I said, it's like a retelling of something that was already told again. But it's a really fun game nonetheless. This is one of the games that I actually haven't beat. Just because I don't really have a lot of friends over that, like Resident Evil and stuff like that, and they don't like getting scared and zombies and, oh my god, I freak out when zombies come out. And I'm just like, no, come on. Resident Evil 2, Kendo is god tier. Fuck yeah, he is. Kendo is awesome. But yeah, so I'm going to put Dark Side Chronicles in the good tier. It's not a mainline title. It's not the greatest game of all time. Is it better than Code Veronica, though? Let's see. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. So I forgot to talk about Steve Burnside for a little bit. He, in Code Veronica, he is the most annoying fucking character in Resident Evil history. I hate his guts. He's the shittiest fucking character. So yeah, I forgot about good old Steve. Yeah, I might have to bring Code Veronica down to good tier. Just for the sole fact that I don't even like listening to Steve's voice. I want to tune him out. I want to just, take out the parts of the games where he talks or does anything, because he's just a little twerp and he's an idiot. But I don't know. Other than that, Code Veronica is great. But yeah, Dark Side Chronicles is it's a good game. I wouldn't say it's great by any means. Actually, it is the better of the two, because we're gonna be talking about the Umbrella Chronicles in a little bit. But honestly, the Dark Side Chronicles is actually a pretty good game. And at least they get Steve right this time. So, hey, I mean, I'll take that over anything. Father! Yeah, right? Just Steve Burnside, man. I can't stand his ass. Yeah, Dark Side Chronicles is alright. Yeah. I like I said, I haven't played through the whole game, but I've watched a playthrough of it. And it's just really cool looking. I really like it. Okay, so let's move on to Resident Evil Outbreak. Okay, so like I've been saying, I never really played through the Outbreak games, but I watched playthroughs of it, and man, like I watched playthroughs of it recently too, and it's really cool. I didn't have the opportunity to play this game online with friends, because back in the day, not a whole lot of people really had a wireless router or anything, or a router in general, to plug their PS2 into. So it was just not very accessible, the online mode. But if I would have had the online mode, let's just say it probably would be all the way up, like all the way up. Outbreak 1 is good, and I heard that Outbreak 2, I know for a fact that Outbreak 2 is really good too. All the bosses are so unique. They got this one boss called Nyx. It's like a giant tyrant plant boss, tyrant thingy majiggy. It's really cool. And then you got the Axeman in the forest. I don't know exactly which Outbreak I'm talking about, but I'm gonna be putting these together anyways. But yeah, no, it's basically like a mission style thing where you choose 4 characters, and 4 people can play, 4 of your friends can play, and you go around and you have to beat a Resident Evil game. You have to work together, conserve ammo, blah, 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 just like any Resident Evil game ever. So, yeah, Outbreak, File 1, File 2. Dude, you have, like, You get to fight a zombie tiger and a zombie elephant at one point. That's fucking awesome. I mean, who wouldn't like that? I wish I would have played through Outbreak instead of quitting halfway through. Cause here's the thing: playing by yourself is hard because the AI don't do shit. AI doesn't do a fucking thing. It's just bullshit. They steal ammo from you too, and they like use ammo like so much. They waste fucking ammo constantly. So it's hard. The old school games are the best in my opinion. Just some shitty characters. Yeah, I know, right? I love Outbreak 1 and 2. Yeah. No, I've seen gameplay of Outbreak 1 and 2 and they look really cool. I wish I had a fucking wireless router back then, man. Oh, that would have been awesome. I would have met so many cool people. But anyways, Outbreak, the Outbreak games have, Raccoon City police officers that you don't get to meet, in Resident Evil, 2 and Resident Evil 3 and all that stuff. Like David Ford, Rita Phillips. It's a great game. They're great games. I would definitely love to play them on stream for you guys one day, if I could get access to the server. That would be nice. But yeah, no, I would love to play the Outbreak games one day. That would be fucking awesome. So yeah, the Outbreak games, I'm gonna put Outbreak 1 in average because I didn't like it as much as the second one. The second one was a lot better in my opinion. So Outbreak is in C tier, average, and then B tier, good. Because like I said, I didn't have much of an experience playing the game. This stream is going to be all about, the past, the present, and the future. Because there's a lot of games that were remade and a lot of games that are just old, and then, a lot of games in the present that I still play. So I'm definitely going to be, going back and forth with the past, present, future to try and see where I should really honestly put these games. So yeah, Outbreak 2 is better because I think that's the one where you get to fight the giant elephant, if I'm not mistaken. I think the first one is just... Actually, no, I think it might be Outbreak 1. Whatever, fuck it. I'll just put them together. Outbreak 1, Outbreak 2. Yeah. Alright, so let's move on to... Hold on, let me take a sip of soda. Got 7 people in the chat. What's up, everybody? Sorry that you guys have to listen to my annoying voice for about an hour or so. But I really love these games. I love talking about them mostly. I mean, just the lore in general for Resident Evil is just fucking awesome. It's like... mind blown. But yeah, cheers everybody. Got a Pepsi over here. All right. So Resident Evil 4. Let's just say that I was very bitter going into playing Resident Evil 4 the first time, I played it because everything had changed so much. There was a paradigm shift in Resident Evil. They were changing things up. Things were getting stale. They wanted to change it just to, make it a little more actiony so they can get more money. They can make more money from the games because a lot of people didn't like the slow tank controls anymore. They wanted something new, something fresh. Resident Evil 4 kind of had tank controls in a way, but like I said, it changed things up, and not a whole lot of people were happy about it. Like the hardcore Resident Evil fans that played Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and, even Resident Evil 1 Remake, Resident Evil 0, that stuff. So, Resident Evil 4 was just it was like I said, it was a paradigm shift in Resident Evil history. That's the game that changed it, changed it all. And honestly, it changed a lot of things for the better, but mostly it took that change and it took the ball, and the guys who designed the game fucking knocked it out of the park, because Resident Evil 4 is literally voted one of the best games ever made still to this day, and almost 20 years old now. So, yeah, no, Resident Evil 4, it's a fun fucking time. But like I said, when I first played the game, I wasn't going into it with a keen mind. I didn't really like it, honestly. I thought the change sucked. I would have rather played Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 and blah, 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 blah than Resident Evil 4. But now I have a different mindset of Resident Evil 4. I think it's an amazing fucking game. When you first start out in the village, you know, you automatically get chased. Well, honestly, when you drive, you know, into the game, literally with, you know, 2 police officers, and they just rag on Leon, calling him an American, a stupid American, and stuff like that. It kind of sets the tone for what the game is gonna be. Like throughout the whole game, it's like, oh, you stupid American, oh, you American pig, whatever. It's like, it's a good time. Chris Smiley Face said Resident Evil 4 is so good. I remember watching it and playing it a lot, and I still do now. But I feel as though Resident Evil 4 doesn't need a remake. I mean, yes, I agree. I think Resident Evil 4 should be left alone. They should remake Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6, definitely. But leave Resident Evil 4 out of it. It doesn't need it. But anyways, I mean, if they do it and do it right and don't fuck it up like they did with a game that I'm going to be talking about in a little bit, then, hey, you know, whatever. We have 2 Resident Evil 4s. Doesn't matter. But they said that they're actually working closely with the former developers of Resident Evil 4, and they said that they want it to turn out perfect. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. But there is a Resident Evil 4 remake coming in 2021. That's going to be another Redux that I'm going to have to do for the channel. But in the meantime, we got a lot of things to talk about. So, yeah, like I said, Resident Evil 4, you drive in, the fucking, you know, the Spanish dudes that you're driving with rag on America and him being American and blah, blah, blah. And then you go into the village, and then all of a sudden, all these fucking enemies hit you at once. Like, they all come running towards you with axes and all that shit, and you don't know what you're doing, because if you're just playing the game for the first time, and you played through the other Resident Evils, you're not going to know what you're doing. You're going to be very confused when you walk into this. And honestly, it's pretty tense. Like, this game, throughout the whole campaign, it is fucking tense as hell. And one of the reasons why is because not only do villagers come out of everywhere to try and kill you, but you also got a dude called, what's his face? Dr. Salvador, who has a chainsaw in his hand. And if he hits you with that chainsaw, you instantly die. So it's just a very, very tense game. Very action heavy, definitely, but tense nonetheless. Like, the game is crazy tense. And it's like you're camping. It's intense. Yeah, I'm so funny. Anyways, Resident Evil 4 is hands down one of the greatest games ever made. Well, I mean, I agree to a point. I think it is a phenomenal game, Michael. I definitely do. The Big Cheese, yeah, definitely going to talk about him. So, yeah, I mean, all the boss fights in Resident Evil 4 are really fucking amazing. And like I said, going into the game, at first, you just dive balls deep into the fucking shit. You get right into the thick of it right away within the first 10 minutes of playing the fucking game. So, but like I said, you know, the boss battles are fucking fun as hell. All of them are so much fun. Besides, like, the final boss fight is kind of, you know, kind of sucks, honestly. It's too easy for a final boss, and it shouldn't be. But anyways, I digress. But Resident Evil 4 is amazing, you know? The boss fights are crisp. The movement is awesome. The enemies are creepy. It makes things tense. You know, the bosses, like I said, the Big Cheese, you know, he turns into a giant centipede, which is gross as fuck, and it's fucking awesome. There's just a lot about the game that is great. And also the merchant. There's a merchant that comes out of nowhere and just, you think he's a fucking zombie, and you're just like, oh shit, you know, is this the main bad villain of the game? But no, he just wants to sell you shit. He just wants to sell you shit, you know? Stranger, what are you buying? You know, like he's just an iconic character in Resident Evil, to say the least. By the way, I did a tier list of all the Resident Evil characters. If you guys want to check that out, definitely feel free. I also did a tier list of all the Resident Evil enemies too, if you want to check that out. And if you want to check out this prior list of Resident Evil games, you know, the one before this one, which is this is a redux of the last one. So if you want to check the last one out, definitely feel free. But yeah, Resident Evil 4 is an iconic fucking game for sure, and it deserves as much love as I'm gonna give it right now. So I'm gonna put it in GOAT tier for sure. It's one of the greatest games ever made. Period. I completely agree with that. It's a lot of fun. There are a few parts in the game that I hate playing through, but overall, it's just really fun. The dialogue is so much better. I don't think the gameplay is better than the originals. I like the tank controls. I prefer the tank controls. But yeah, I mean, that's what I love about Resident Evil 4. It's just a good time, you know? But there is a big part of why I don't like it as much as most people do, and why I don't think it is the best Resident Evil of all time, and that's because of Ashley. She is the most annoying fucking... Well, along with Steve Burnside, she is... Him and her are the two most annoying fucking characters in Resident Evil. You constantly have to rescue her. You know, you constantly have to shield her, make sure she doesn't get hit by enemies. She gets killed really easily. You can accidentally shoot her and kill her, which will, you know, bring you to the game over screen. You know, it's just, it's a difficult, it's just not fun having Ashley around you. Like, I dread all the parts where, you know, you have to have Ashley near you. I don't like Ashley as a character. You know, I get the whole premise of the game is to go to Spain and rescue the president's daughter, but like I said, Ashley is no fun, and that's why, you know, I don't think it is the best Resident Evil game of all time. But I'll buy it at a high price. What are you selling? Yeah, right? It's great. I love the merchant. He's fucking awesome. I'm gonna read some comments real quick before I go to the next game. Monsters, after you, there will be one, monsters, after, oh yeah, after you, there will be one less to worry about, right? What are you selling? What are you buying? I like it when, you buy a certain weapon and he really shows you how much he admires the weapon. Yeah, I know, right? I think the voice actor for Leon, in the game, voice acted the merchant, too. So, yeah, that's a fun fact for you guys. Yeah, the merchant is fucking awesome. But, yeah, no, I think it's a great game. It definitely needs to be in the GOAT tier for sure. But, I mean, there are a lot of other games to talk about, so let's get into it. Resident Evil 4, great game. Let's move on to the original Resident Evil. Now, this is a tough one, because I just played this on stream, right? I just speedran it, and holy shit is this game fucking hard. I mean, I was playing on normal mode and I was still dying. I was still getting my ass kicked. It's just... Here's the thing. The hitboxes for the hunters in this game are just ridiculous. They are so... Like, these hunters move so fast and they jump so high and shit. Resident Evil 1... I mean, there was honestly a lot of mistakes made with Resident Evil 1, don't get me wrong. I still love the game, though. I mean, it's one of my favorite Resident Evil games of all time, just because it's the first one that I watched my dad play back in the day. You know, a lot of fond memories. Chris and Jill going into the closet and changing their clothes, and you hear the zipper noises, just like that is a memory that was so vivid in my, you know, it still is very vivid. I remember going to the bedroom, changing my clothes, coming out in a different outfit while my dad was playing the game and doing the exact same thing in the game, not, you know, not, you know, changing while he's playing the game. That would be kind of difficult, don't you think? But yeah, no, he was changing all the characters' costumes and whatever. in the game, and I was doing the same thing, coming out in a different costume, and it used to make my dad laugh so hard, so hard. Like, there's a lot of memories with this game. I remember, like, the cheesy, shitty voice acting. I love that. I don't think that's a negative for the game. I adore it. I love a little campiness. There's nothing wrong with the dialogue. I fucking love it. But like I said, there are things wrong with the game itself. Like the hunters, for example. They're just so fucking hard to kill. It's just, and to even run away from in general. Like, dude, you have to be like a god to run past those fucking things and get to, where you need to be without taking damage at all. It's difficult. Which is one of the reasons why I'm not going to put it in GOAT tier, because there is a remake of the game, which I'm talking about right after this, and it just completely, blows the original out of the water and just improves on everything, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. It has classic lines in the original Resident Evil, like the Jill sandwich line. Huh, you were almost a Jill sandwich. And, we're going to... we just got to the root of the problem, like Chris. It's just the funny dialogue and the fun puzzles and the fun environment, atmosphere, and, that zombie squashing, just squashing down the stairs. You hear a squash noise as he's walking down the stairs, and he opens the door, and that zombie is really fucking hard to kill in advanced mode. It takes like 5 or 6 shotgun shells to put him down. It's actually pretty funny. He's the strongest zombie in the game by far. And also this game, like, the ending is just like, oh my god, your mind's blown, because, you go into the courtyard where Enrico's sitting there, and he's injured, and he said that there's a traitor in the STARS, unit, and, and then all of a sudden he gets shot. Whatever. And then you're just like, oh shit, there's a traitor. Like, what do I do? And I remember the first time my dad played the game, he thought it was Barry that was the traitor, because he acts so strange in Jill's campaign, and he's absent in Chris's campaign. So my dad's just like, oh, it's definitely Barry. That's the, the main villain. But no, it's just, it ends up being Wesker, and it's just like the biggest... It's like the biggest reveal I think I can think of in gaming, like the biggest betrayal, in any video game ever in history, and that sets up the feud between Chris and Wesker throughout 5 games. It's just it's an amazing story, and I don't think I'd be the same. I really don't think I'd be the same person if Resident Evil was never made. Like this is my whole life. This is what I've always done. I've always played Resident Evil games, and I've also been playing Tekken my whole life too. So, Resident Evil is a big part of my life, and it all started with this game right here in 1996, almost 25 years ago. That's crazy. So, is it the best game of all time? No. There's a lot that needed to be worked on, which is why I'll talk about the Resident Evil 1 remake later, actually next. But Resident Evil 1, the original, is a great game. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things annoying about it, but overall, great game. I actually think I'm going to... Let's see. I'll move everything around once I'm done. I'll put it in order from my favorite to my least favorite. Let's read some comments. Wow, what a mansion. Yeah, right? I know, I love that line too. That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich, yeah. I love the save. Oh, I forgot to talk about. All right. Resident Evil 1, hands down, has like... Let me try and word this. Resident Evil 1, hands down, has the best environment and the best musical score, I think, in any video game ever created. Like, Resident Evil really sets the bar for what horror is. And I don't think horror would be the same, I don't even think it would have been created at all if Resident Evil never ever came out. You know, like, it really set the tone for what a horror zombie game should be. And there's been so many zombie games afterwards trying to replicate the same thing that Resident Evil replicated almost 25 years ago. So it really set the bar, and it's an amazing game. So yeah, let's move on to the remake of the original Resident Evil. So this game is a masterpiece. This game is a fucking masterpiece, and here's the reason why I say this. It takes every single thing from the original game, adds it, and improves upon all the things that were shitty about the original. What is Clyde doing? Clyde, knock it off. He's trying to eat my pretzels, that bastard. Anyways, no, Resident Evil 1 Remake improves upon the original Resident Evil and just completely doubles down and adds shit to it, and you know, just makes it more gritty. Like, that is a gritty remake right there. It's scary. The first time I played it, I was like, what the fuck? This is like playing Resident Evil all over again. I'm so fucking frightened. And it adds defensive weapons. So if, you know, you're about to get attacked by a zombie, you can have a defensive dagger and, you know, plunge the dagger directly into its head, and it'll slow the zombie down, you know, for a few seconds so you can get past him. It's just, I mean, it's a brilliant game. It adds a new boss called Lisa Trevor that you have to run past and avoid at all costs and shit. And she's really powerful too. Like, her swings do a lot of damage, like, no joke. But yeah, no, Resident Evil 1 Remake is a phenomenal fucking game. It's a phenomenal game, and there's one big addition to the game that obviously is the reason why I think that this game is probably the best, if not one of the best games ever made, because it takes a zombie, right? And you think the zombies, you know, you think it's dead, like when you shoot it and it's on the ground, you think it's dead, but the bodies don't disappear, and you're just like, oh, okay, so bodies in Resident Evil games don't disappear anymore, right? Wrong, because zombies, when you kill them, unless you shoot their head up, or shoot their head off, or burn the body, you're gonna have a really bad fucking time when you go through that area again later on in the game, because they come back to life with a fury and a vengeance. They start running, they have giant claws, and they turn red, and they're called Crimson Heads. So these zombies, who were already a nuisance in the original game, they die, and then they come back, and they're even fucking faster. Holy shit. When I first realized that there was a thing called Crimson Heads in Resident Evil 1 Remake, when I first played it for the first time, I lost my shit. I was like, what the fuck is going on? What is going on? Like, I was completely fucking blown away. Like, they really took time out of their day and life to remake their beloved original Resident Evil game. And that's something that I really fucking love. Capcom, this is Capcom's baby right here. I don't care about all the other games. I mean, I do. I love them equally. Well, not equally, but, you know, I love them in general. But Resident Evil 1 Remake, to me, is their baby, and they should be focused on how to make future Resident Evil games like that game again. Like, you know, that and Resident Evil 0 just had a formula that worked, and, you know, it just worked. It worked, and, you know, it even had alternate controls to make the game feel less tanky, which is even better. Like, it really improves upon the game tenfold, and yeah. So I'm gonna read some chats real quick. You love the save room music when Chris meets Rebecca. Yeah, right. And Enrico. Yeah, right. I love that. That shit is funny. Yeah, right. Resident Evil 1 Remake really did change everything for survival horror and made it better. Exactly, dude. It was a game changer. It was a game breaker. Like, that shit broke the mold. The Resident Evil 1 remake is an absolute work of art. Yeah, it is. Crimson Head made me pause the game for how scared I was. Yeah, same here, dude. I was just like, fuck, I can't handle this. I'm gonna lose my mind. This is insane. Because, and you know, it gets a well-deserved S tier for sure. Well-deserved S tier because when you remake a game or a movie or whatever, you add all the shit. You have to add all the shit, or at least you should add all the shit that made the game or movie or whatever you're trying to remake great in the first fucking place. Because why are you remaking something if people don't like the original? If people don't like the original, you're not going to fucking remake it. That's for sure. Hell no. There's no reason to. You know? Because people think it's shit. It's not going to make any money. It's not going to sell. But Resident Evil 1 remake, oh my god. And it takes some annoying rooms out and puts, you know, less annoying rooms in the game, you know, as well. Like for example, in the laboratory, when you push that stupid cart, you know, on top of the button and whatever, and, you know, there's poisonous gas that fills up the room, and if you fuck it up, you gotta reset the room, go back, do it all over again. It takes that room out. You know, it's a fucking annoying room. But, you know, it adds a lot of really cool shit in. And there's even a graveyard, which, I mean, is my favorite thing in zombie games. Graveyards are, if I were to make a zombie movie or a game, a graveyard will be in it. You know, because, oh man, because like classic George A. Romero zombie movies, right? The zombies were rising up from being already dead. You know, it was just an infection that spread and reanimated dead bodies, which is fucking awesome. Like, that's such a fucked up concept. Imagine if that really happened in real life. That would suck. But, you know, it's just such a cool concept, and I love it. Resident Evil 1 remake to me just gets all the votes of confidence ever. I mean, if you want to play any of these games, fucking play this game. You have to. If you want to play Resident Evil games, you gotta fucking play this game, and I guarantee you guys are gonna appreciate it just as much as I do. Maybe, if not more, who knows? But I'm in love with this game, and it's phenomenal. So let's move on to Resident Evil 2 Remake. Now, Resident Evil 2 Remake, it was a great remake. There are a lot of things wrong with the game, you know, per se. But it takes an already amazing game like Resident Evil 2, and it reimagines it, and it's not quite a remake. It is, but it's not. You know, it takes the original game, the original Resident Evil 2, and just makes it, not better, but it changes. You know, like, just like life. And like evolution changes, you know, things change, and it's supposed to. That's how things work. You know, you can't have everything be the same all the time, or else you're not going to get anywhere in life, you know? So Resident Evil 2 Remake is a fucking amazing game. I love playing through the game. It's not like your style, typical tank control style from the original games, which, I mean, it was very disappointing. I would have loved to see a tank control styled Resident Evil 2 remake. I think that's a mod. I'm not sure. But no, Resident Evil 2 remake is a great game. There are a lot of problems with it that I want to address first before I talk about the great things about the game. B scenarios in Resident Evil 2 remake don't make any fucking sense. You face the same boss as the other character. There's no continuity. There's no continuity there. So, I mean, Claire and Leon enter in the Raccoon City police station at different points, you know, in the Raccoon City Police Department in general. So, Resident Evil 2 Remake changes things up, but like I said, all the B scenarios, the B scenarios for Claire and Leon, they're not good. I mean, you know, there's no continuity, there's no zap mechanic just like in the original game. It's just, you know, that's one of the only things that, you know, I take issue with Resident Evil 2. Oh, Well, that and the beginning of the game. Going through the gas station is cool and all with Resident Evil 2 Remake, but once you are running to the Raccoon City police station, those zombies, literally 80% of them, 90% of them, are not programmed to actually hurt you, which is really fucking odd if you think about it, right? Why would they not be programmed to hurt you? I mean, in the original Resident Evil 2, it was hype as shit, man. You get in a fucking accident, a tanker blows up your car, you have to run to the police station, and you have to dodge zombies and whatever, and the zombies will fucking kill you before you even reach to where you need to go. But Resident Evil 2 Remake takes that excitement out, and, you know, I don't like that. I don't like because the excitement of Resident Evil 2, the original, is why I love Resident Evil 2, the original, so much. It's fucking exciting. It's you have to learn how to dodge these zombies as opposed to just kill all of them, you know? So yeah, that takes the fun out of it, honestly. It really does. And it makes me feel some sort of way about the Resident Evil 2 remake, honestly. It really does. But yeah, Resident Evil 2 Remake is enjoyable, but I had a lot of issues, especially with the scenarios. Yep, yeah. So, like, B scenarios, and it's, you know, non-continuity-ish, kind of, you know? I mean, it is continuity, but not really, because there's no way that they're both fighting William Birkin in the same area, you know? You know what I mean? It's not right. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, no, that and the start of the game are really kind of some of the only things that I really, you know. Oh, actually, also they get rid of the marshalling yard in Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's non-existent. They don't have it anymore, and just the lab in general is different and changed. It's called the Nest now. So, and also they don't take out the ivy plants from Resident Evil 2 in the laboratory. They changed them to make them look more human. And when I first saw it, I was just like, fuck me, this sucks, you know, because I really, really liked the original ivy plants. I thought the ivy plants were so cool, you know, and their design in the original Resident Evil 2. Because they had, it was like a Demogorgon type thing. They had, like, you know, they had a bulb, like a plant. They looked like plants instead of humans. And when they opened their mouth up, it spread out like a flower, and they can one hit insta kill you. You know, it's just it was really cool, and I really love the ivy plants in Resident Evil 2. But yeah, I mean, those are the main issues that I really have a problem with in Resident Evil 2 Remake. I mean, I thought a lot of people were pissed off about the alligator boss with Leon's campaign in Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I mean, I thought it was cool. I like runaway sequences, because if you fuck it up, you die. You know, it's like it's insta kill type thing. So that's awesome. I really loved that with Resident Evil 2 Remake. I thought that was interesting. Because in Resident Evil 2, the original, you could skip the whole boss fight in general. You didn't have to kill the alligator with your weapons. You could just use a tank and then shoot the tank once and blow the motherfucker's head off, you know? So, yeah. But Resident Evil 2 Remake is just a really solid game. The gameplay is great. You could shoot zombies' legs and arms off, which is really cool. Getting a headshot and their head, you know, blowing off is even more satisfying than the original, to be honest with you. And then, you know, it's just, you know, I love the way Leon and Claire look. And also the characters are so much more fleshed out in Resident Evil 2 Remake than they are in the original. Like, I mean, they still have the cheesy, you know, voice acting and whatever, you know, and campy lines and shit like that. But overall, I mean, Resident Evil 2 Remake is a solid fucking game. You know, like I said, all the characters have, you know, even more backstory to them. And, you know, you get to fall in love with the characters all over again because there's more to love. So yeah, Resident Evil 2 Remake, phenomenal game. And also, they improved upon Mr. X from the original Resident Evil 2. He's now a lot faster. He's more of a fucking asshole, and he follows you throughout the whole building, opens doors and shit, as opposed to him just, being in one area. You can shoot him down and then he kind of disappears for a while and you don't see him for a little bit until like there's another scripted moment where you can see him. But Resident Evil 2 Remake is great. And Marvin is great. Kendo, even Ben Bertolucci. I love his part even more in the Resident Evil 2 Remake. Chief Irons is a fucking bastard. He's a fucking bastard. But yeah, and also another issue that I have with Resident Evil 2 Remake is that they didn't add much into the Resident Evil 2 Remake. The only thing that they added is the orphanage where, Sherry runs around to try and, avoid, Chief Irons and shit like that. But overall, I mean, Resident Evil 2 Remake is great. They added, the Tofu Survivor, the Hunk, Fourth Survivor mode. That was awesome. And they even added extra content in there, which was really cool. What was it? There was another mode where you could play as Chief Warren's daughter, or Mayor Warren's daughter, and then you could play as, the cop from the gas station and shit like that. It's just it's a really cool remake, and it's a great game. I don't know if it's GOAT tier just because it's a great game, but it's not such a good remake as opposed to Resident Evil the original. So yeah, Resident Evil 2 Remake, I'm gonna put that in. I may as well put it in GOAT tier. Because I've played Resident Evil 2 Remake a lot more than probably 80% of these games right here. So, I mean, I love playing the game. It has a great system. You get to shoot zombies' legs off and arms off, which is very satisfying. There's a lot of really cool weapons in the game, upgrades, different, more environments in Resident Evil 2 Remake than the original. To explore, like the gun range down in the basement and all that stuff. It's just a great game. So yeah, we're not going to talk about this game right away. I'm going to save Resident Evil 3 Remake and Resident Evil Resistance for the end of the stream because I got a lot to say and I haven't really talked and touched much on Resident Evil Resistance, especially on the channel. So yeah, I'm going to save them for last. Let's go to Resident Evil 5. Okay, Resident Evil 5 is an amazing experience with a friend. But everybody knows that Resident Evil 5 is notorious because of how shitty the AI is. And when I say shitty, it's really shitty. It literally... Actually, hold on. I'll answer some chats before I move on to Resident Evil 5, actually. Let's see. The DLCs for the game were okay, but Tofu... run is the best. Yeah, I know. It is a lot of fun. What I like, or what I did like, was the fact that you're one insta kill. Yeah, right. Yo, what's up? I give up on a name. I was just talking to you or talking about you to Dr. Mindbender earlier on today. That's weird. Thanks for joining the stream, man. I missed you, dog. I missed you. But what you did like the fact, okay, let's see. Sorry, my voice is all fucked up because I'm talking a lot. Mr. X really was a good AI stalker. Yeah, he really is. Resident Evil 2 Remake is a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's honestly a 9 out of 10, bro. I really, really feel like it's a 9 out of 10. I give up on a name. Hello. Hey, what's up? I give up on a name. How you doing, man? Tyrant is probably the best besides Birkin. I mean, yeah, I agree. Definitely awesome. It is true. Yeah, true. All right, so yeah, let's move on to Resident Evil 5. My voice is kind of shitty now. That's because I'm talking a lot, but whatever. Welcome to the stream, everybody. All right, so Resident Evil 5, like I said, it's atrocious to play by yourself. The AI is horrible. There's no AI worse than Resident Evil 5's AI for Sheva, honestly. I could say that and be confident. But playing this game with a friend is the best co-op experience in any game probably ever made, hands down. So it's a toss-up. You got one thing that's not great at all, that's not good at all even, and then you got something that's really fucking awesome, and you could actually couch co-op with your fucking friends or play online. You know, honestly, Resident Evil 5 was revolutionary for its time. I don't think that people give this game enough credit. It's an amazing game, and this game ends the battle between Chris and Wesker. You know, like the final showdown in the mouth of a volcano, the final fight. It's just it's a really, really fun game. I don't really like Irvin all that much. I think he's a really shitty character. Him and Excella, Gioni, I don't really like them as characters or even as bosses for that matter. They suck. But Resident Evil 5 is great. Has a lot going for it. But one of the things that I don't like about 5 is that it's way too fucking action-y. They took the formula of Resident Evil 4 and they were just like, oh, let's just fucking, let's just, fuck this game so hard that action comes out, Literally. It's like, come on, man. You don't need that much action in a Resident Evil game. You really, really don't. And, I don't really like the fact that, enemies in games fire weapons. I really don't like that. I think that enemies are better left being dumb nincompoops that, are a lot easier to take down and can't really do much, just like in, the original Resident Evil and, Resident Evil 2 and stuff like that. I don't really like 5 for that reason. But I do like 5 because it's, like I said, it's such a fun time to play with friends. But regardless, I'm going to put Resident Evil 5 in the good category. I think that is appropriate. I just don't... I mean, there's a lot of really cool things about it. It's not really the most beautiful looking game, honestly, to be quite honest with you guys. It's very brown in texture, and I don't like that. It's just like kind of, muddy. It just reminds me of dirt. And, if a game just looks like there's dirt in the background and shit, then obviously it's not going to be as great as you're going to think it is. So yeah, Resident Evil 5 is good. Chris is, I like his voice actor, actually. I really like Sheva as a character. She's not really that important. I don't really care too much about her, but I love her voice actor. And just Wesker is just a fucking asshole. I can't stand him in this game, and that's the whole point. You're not supposed to be able to, to like Wesker. He's the bad guy. You want to fucking hate him, and you do. So it works. Definitely works. Story-wise, it works. Anyways. But yeah, I don't really like the inventory system in Resident Evil 5 either. It's kind of shit. It's kind of hard to get weapons sometimes and blah, 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 and do what you need to do, which makes it very difficult, especially if you're, like, in a boss fight. And it's not like the days of old where you pause, you go into your inventory and it pauses the action. The action is still going on, and you have to quickly get shit from out of your inventory while the game is still going on, and then you take a lot of damage, and then it's just it's annoying. But Resident Evil 5 is in the good tier category, I believe. But like I said, the actiony, it's way too actiony. So yeah, let's move on to Resident Evil 6. This game, all right. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Hold on. I'll read a couple chats before every game, so that way I can read all your guys' comments. Let's see. Tyrant is probably the best besides Birkin. Yep. I got a new copy of Nemesis, and It's all good, and so far it's amazing. Dude, rock on, brother. Fuck yes. That's awesome. Yeah, what's up? I give up on a name. I missed you, man. I missed you. Resident Evil 5 is too much. Yeah, it really is too much. I hated how Wesker died. Yeah, I didn't really like how Wesker died either. That's another thing about it. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot the boulder punch. The Chris punching boulders meme. Yeah. It's really stupid that he punches boulders. I think it's ridiculous. It's typical action hero gung-ho douchebag and Chris. And I don't like that shit, honestly. I feel like Chris, I like the voice actor for Chris, but I don't like his look. I don't like his demeanor. In Resident Evil 1, he's a lot more humble. Even in, Code Veronica, he's a lot more humble. He doesn't have giant fucking triceps in Resident Evil 5, or in Code Veronica or the original. He's humble, and he's likable. You know what I mean? Not humble and likable to the point where, it's kind of, makes you want to puke because it's too white boyish, you know what I mean? But he's likable, and Clyde's in the stream, guys. What do you think tier he gets? I think he gets goat tier, right? Even though you're not a goat, you're a cat, but still. Mwah. He actually got a mouse earlier on today, so I was really, really happy with him. You're gonna get a lot of food in a little bit. Yeah, you are, buddy. But yeah. What's up, Rodri? How you doing, brother? Yeah. I love Wesker. But yeah, no. I don't like, new gung-ho Chris action hero fucking douchebag. I don't like him. I think that, Chris should be, a lot more humble, a lot more nice, likable, but also, like, when Wesker's fucking with him, you see a dark side in him. And, and he doesn't need 1,000,000 pounds of muscle to beat Wesker up. I hope that's one thing they change about Resident Evil 5 if they decide to remake it, because it sounds like they probably fucking are. You know what I mean? I think they definitely will, but, that's one of the things that I don't like about Resident Evil 5. So let's move on to Resident Evil 6. This game, the controls are bad for this game. Really fucking bad. It's awkward. Look at that fucking logo right there. This game literally blows a giraffe. This game blows it, because it does. This game fucking sucks. It fucking sucks giraffe cock. That's how bad it sucks. So the game is just, it's just a mash up of just honestly nonsense. The game is nonsense. It tries to be a horror game with one campaign. It tries to be an action game. It tries to be a stealth-based game. It tries to be a puzzle-solving game, just like in the days of old. You don't need all that. Have 1 or 2 solid campaigns, and, there we go. Problem solved. You don't need a whole bunch of game to like the game. The game is not good. Mercenaries mode is a little bit fun. I played it, and Usanak mode is kind of fun too. But besides that, Leon and Helena's campaign is alright, but it's not quite there. Jake and Sherry. I love the fact that Sherry's back. That's one thing that I like about Resident Evil 6. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that I do like. I think Jake Muller is kind of a shit character. I like their dynamic, Sherry and Jake's dynamic, but I think Jake Muller is a shitty new character. He's worthless, useless to me. I don't need him in my Resident Evil game. I don't. If he didn't exist, I'd be completely fine. And then you got Chris and Piers. It's just a giant dick measuring contest the whole time and whatever. And then, Chris gets in a fight with Leon, which was honestly kind of lame. It was cool, but the fight should have gone on longer. That's what I feel anyways. The fight definitely should have fucking gone on way longer. Because Leon's talented, and so is Chris, Like, it would have been, brawn over brains. or brain versus brawn, because Leon's fucking smart and Chris is just brawn. He's big, and hulking and whatever. So they could have made it a really interesting dynamic fight, but they didn't. They wasted it, and it's sad. It really is. Ada's campaign was just horrible. I did not like that at all. I played a little bit of it, and I was just like, this fucking sucks. It's way too hard. It just, no, I'd rather not. But no, Resident Evil 6, it's not a great game. The controls, like I said, are fucked up. It takes the OG system of herb making and transforms them into little pills that you pop into your mouth. What the fuck? I want my old herbs back. I want it to be a Resident Evil game. There is, honestly, like, maybe 10%, 10 measly percent of any resemblance of a Resident Evil game inside of Resident Evil 6. So, I don't know. It's not a good game. It's so underwhelming. I don't like the game. I mean, the Chris and Piers angle at the end is really cool. Piers sacrifices himself for Chris, and, he allows Chris to, get out of there and to live. And he literally, it's like he almost jumped out in front of a bus to save Chris's life, pretty much. It's a cool ending, and it's very heart-wrenching, and I did like that, but that's it. Resident Evil 6 is just not that great. So yeah, let's move on to the next game. Ooh-wee, Resident Evil 7. Let's talk about this game. Alright, so Resident Evil 7, it's a return to survival horror. This game is not perfect at all. But it really does bring survival horror and Resident Evil back, to the mainstream after being gone for so long after Resident Evil 6. I really enjoy this game. Personally, I'm not in love with the game, but I really enjoy this game. Up until a certain point, about halfway through the game, or maybe 3/4 of the way through the game just gets very stale, and I get unmotivated. Like I actually haven't played through Resident Evil 7 yet, just because I got to that sunken ship part, and I was just like, what the fuck is this bullshit? I have no inventory items. Are you kidding me? And there's just molded everywhere. Like it didn't really. I don't know. It didn't really impress me. I thought it was a great return to survival horror. It was very scary. I liked that. But there was just molded, and then the boss fights are fucking. They're epic. They're amazing. Besides the last boss fight, that wasn't that epic. But Resident Evil 7 is. It's just molded, Even in the original Resident Evil, for Christ's sakes, like, it had the zombies, and then the hunters, and then the dogs, and the spiders, and then the naked zombies at the end. It had a lot of really great shit about the game itself, And that was going back almost 25 years ago. So why can't Resident Evil 7 have different types of enemies? I mean, I get that there's the bugs and whatever, but that was in the first Resident Evil game, man. Come on. Be a little bit more inventive than that and shit. But you got the fucking, the regular molded, and then you got the crawling molded, and then you got the extra powerful regular molded, and then you got the fat molded. It's like molded. You know what I mean? Like, even repeating molded is annoying. I don't even want to say molded anymore. So, I don't know. But there's a lot of things about Resident Evil 7 that are really fucking awesome. I got 10 people in the chat. What is up, everybody? You love Italian food? Awesome. I love Italian food too. Ada, wait. Yeah, right? Follow me. Yeah, my husband likes it with turkey meat. Nice. Turkey meat is good, man. Turkey meat is good. I think the whole Leon and Ada thing is going on for too long. Yes, it is. It is. they just need to fuck already and have a baby, because it's too much. It's true. Yeah, right. But yeah, no, like Resident Evil 7, there's a lot of fucking things that I love about Resident Evil 7. Don't get me wrong. Like, when you first enter the game, you're looking for your wife after she's disappeared for 3 years, and you get a call that she's still alive and whatever, and she says to stay away, and then you go into the Baker estate, and then all of a sudden you see her, and she's all, frantic, and like, you could tell that something's going on. And then she switches into this fucking demonic bitch. And she stabs you in the fucking hand, chainsaws your fucking arm off. And, it's crazy. And then, you literally have to shoot and stab your own wife and, try and kill her. Which is fucked up. Which is really fucked up. And then, you get her down after, the chainsaw battle with her, and then fucking Jack Baker punches you in the face and says, "Welcome to the family, son." Like, dude, I think that's one of the coolest starts to any game, period. Like, that whole sequence where fucking, Mia's just trying to kill you and shit. Like, that is so, like, when Resident Evil 7 is good, it's great, but like I said, it falls off at the end. You get that rush, that high with the Baker family, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, now it's just kind of, it's barely scraping by, That's what I felt anyways. But yeah, no, I love Jack Baker's personality. He's just a crazy fucking hillbilly. And he's like a nemesis type boss, where, he follows you around throughout the Baker estate and shit like that. And then you got Marguerite, who is the wife of Jack Baker, and she has, flies coming out of that vagina, which is really weird, but it's unsettling, and that's what this game is. It's very unsettling. You're supposed to be like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell is going on? This is weird. This is odd. I don't like this. It's the imagery. It's great. This game This game is beautiful, by the way. This game looks fucking mint condition. It looks so phenomenal. And the gameplay is actually really awesome too. I don't like the running per se. It feels like you're kind of running through mud throughout the whole, game. But other than that, Resident Evil 7's gameplay is flawless. It's fucking awesome. And it brings back the old inventory system from Resident Evil, 1 and 2 and 3, blah, blah, blah. And, and also Resident Evil 7 is the first game to use the RE engine, which is a great introduction to the RE engine. So, Resident Evil 7, man, it's a ride. It's like, it's like you go up in a roller coaster, right? And then, but the up part is the most exciting part. And then the downwards thrust of the roller coaster is just like, this sucks. It's just like, Resident Evil 7 is kind of like a messed up roller coaster. It's when it's good, it's great for the first 3/4 of the game, and then boom, it shifts into just this, mess. Honestly, mess. It's not a good part in the game, but. And then you got Lucas Baker, who is, a mastermind and all that stuff. He plants traps and blah, blah, blah. And he's crazy. And, I really love that part with Lucas Baker in that area of the game. Like, it's just really cool. It reminds me of, like, ravey style lights and shit like that. That, to me, was, like, the coolest, best part in the game. I love that part. But Resident Evil 7, man, it's a different breed of game, that's for sure. It's a lot more psychological, and I like that. It's really cool. I don't like Evelyn, honestly. I don't like Evie. And the final boss fight is very underwhelming. And then you see Chris come in a helicopter and whatever, and he doesn't look like what Chris Redfield should look like, and it's not good. That's not good. So yeah. Resident Evil 7, great game. but I'm gonna only put it in the good category. Oh, I forgot to put, oh, hold on, Resident Evil 7, yeah, it's in the good category. It could have been better. I mean, it's just the last part of the game, like I said, definitely fell off for me, but it's a good game. It's a very good game, honestly. If it wasn't so bland at the end, I would say it's a great game, or even GOAT tier, guys. GOAT tier. Also, the addition to Resident Evil 7, the VR mode is really cool. I do gotta say, it's definitely the best way to play the game. I just don't have VR capabilities. That's the problem. But, alright, so we're not done with this list. Let's move on. We got Resident Evil Dead Aim. Okay, let me take a sip of soda, read some chats, and then I will talk about the rest of these games. Alright. I got some stuck in my pipe. Went down the wrong pipe. Alright, so let's see. Resident Evil 7's opening hour is really effective. Yeah, I know. That was definitely a really cool way to introduce people to Resident Evil 7. Like, a really, really cool way. Does Resident Evil 7 have anything to do with the Resident Evil franchise? Resident Evil 7 wins best horror RE game. Honestly, yeah. I mean, Resident Evil 7 is kind of like a love letter to slasher movies. Has a lot of references, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre references, and just a lot of really cool things about it that I really, really enjoy. The imagery, the creepiness of it, the voice acting, all very effective, all very scary. It's just one of those games that, you don't want to put down, but I put it down because, I was so underwhelmed by the last part of the game. I just really didn't like it. It felt sluggish. It really did. Evelyn was awful. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, what's up, Chris Smiley Face? How you doing? What's up, everybody in the chat? Got 8 people in the chat. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming in and hanging out. So, let's talk about Resident Evil Dead Aim next. This game is not canon by any means. This game stars a guy named Bruce McGivern, and then he meets this girl called Feng Ling, who are on a boat, and, this game is decent. It's decent, and, it's just, a lot of the areas look the same, and also just the controls of this game aren't that great. I remember trying to play it back in the day, and I couldn't fucking, stand the controls at all. They were just horrible. And I didn't like that. So, I mean, Dead Aim is alright for what it is. I like the graphics. The graphics are decent. But also, the final boss, the final tyrant, Morpheus, whatever the fuck his name is, he doesn't cut it as a good final boss, honestly. He's not that great. So, yeah. If I were to rate this game, it would be underwhelming. Underwhelming, yeah. It's not that great. And like I said, the controls are deplorable. That is enough to make somebody put the game down after the first 5 minutes, to be honest with you, alone. I will be playing Dead Aim on stream, though. I feel like I should give it some love, But it's not the best Resident Evil game of all time. That's for damn sure, and it will never be. In my eyes, anyways. Even if they fucking remade it and it looked excellent, it would still never be, a good game. So let's move on to Resident Evil Gaiden. I never played this game. I had a Game Boy. I had a Game Boy Color, but much later, like way after the Game Boy Color came out. This game has Leon and Barry in it, which are the two best characters in Resident Evil to begin with. But the problem is that it's on the Game Boy Color. It's you can't run around like you can in a regular typical Resident Evil game. You just can't, there's a mini game every single time you shoot a zombie or run into one or whatever. So it's not it's not just because it's on the Game Boy Color, it's not that great. But I did hear that the story is pretty cool, so I'll give it that. Underwhelming, I guess. I would have to, I'm actually gonna watch a playthrough of Resident Evil Gaiden. That'd be cool. Or play through the game in general. But I'm gonna put it as not underwhelming. I'm gonna put it as garbage because the Game Boy Color is a very slow system. Everything kind of moves at a snail's pace. That's why I didn't get one when I was a kid, because I was very impatient, kind of like I am still to this day. So, yeah, whatever. Dead Aim Save Room theme. Yes, I do agree. The Dead Aim Save Room theme is really fucking good. But other than that, Dead Aim's not that great at all. But yeah, Gaiden, like I said, not that great either. Because if it was on a different system, oh man, this game would probably be fucking awesome. But it's not. So let's move on to, oh, yes, Resident Evil Revelations, the first one. I fucking love this game. What isn't good about this game? I mean, the parts where you have to swim in the water, it's kind of tedious and fucked. But when you get down to brass tacks, this fucking game is excellent. The bosses are sick as hell. Besides that giant octopus monster towards the end of the game, dude, all of the fucking bosses in this game are so cool looking, so fucking cool. I really love this game. No, that turtle zombie thing is so awesome looking. Come on. Like, I love turtles, and there's a turtle zombie. Fuck yeah. Fuck yes. And, Resident Evil Revelations, it has a lot of the same basic enemies, but the only thing is that it does change it up. Resident Evil 7 doesn't. So automatically right there, boom, Revelations is better than Resident Evil 7 in my opinion. But then we get to the bosses and how cool they look. Like the first boss that you come across, the comms officer, he yells Mayday, Mayday, as he's like he still has a little bit of his sanity and he could still speak, but he's being absorbed by this fish monster with a giant saw for a hand that will insta-kill you if you come close to it. It's just it's definitely a hard boss fight, that's for sure. But it's such a great fucking game. This game is so good that honestly I would love to play it again on stream. It's that good, honestly. It really is. And this game takes place on a boat, so all the enemies are amphibious. They're amphibians and they're sea dwellers and stuff like that. Like you got a turtle boss, and all the enemies have gills and they look very aquatic. It's really, really cool. I love Revelations. I'm gonna give it some love and put it in the great category for sure. Because, like I said, even the save room theme is fucking cool. Even the music, just in general, is cool. And then it has comedy in it, too. And also, in Revelations, there's a big, like, backstabbing part. Like, a betrayal with Jessica. She ends up being a bad guy. The reason why, Jill and Chris were in trouble anyways, in general. It's just, it's a phenomenal game. It's definitely a must pick up, definitely a must buy, and it's a great game. So, yeah, honestly, I can't say anything more about it because, and it also has hunters in the game too, which is really cool. So, yeah, I mean, the mechanics of the game are fucking excellent. So excellent. And just like the areas in the game look really beautiful. I really like the look of the game, honestly. And actually, what's weird is that Revelations came out on the DS. So that right there is fucking crazy. So yeah, I mean, Revelations is a great fucking game. So, I'm gonna talk to you guys in the chat real quick. You didn't like the map in Revelations 1. Yeah, that was one little hiccup that I noticed that I didn't like. But overall, the game is fucking awesome and beautiful, and I really enjoy it. The map, yeah, it's fucked up, and that's why it doesn't get GOAT tier. Revelations was meant to be a 3DS game, right? No, they originally released it on the 3DS. I would love to get the 3DS version, man. That'd be so cool. I could play in the car and shit. That'd be awesome. Okay, so let's continue on to the next game. Take a sip of soda, coat my throat a little bit, and then, boom. I wonder how long this stream has been on for. Let's see. 1 hour and 35 minutes. That makes sense. I'm about halfway done. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've done 15 games. There's 28. Yeah, I'm about a little bit more than halfway done. All right, so. Okay, so we get to this game, Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles, which is the prequel to Darkside Chronicles. And that tells the story of Chris and Jill and the Spencer Mansion and Rebecca and Billy and Resident Evil 0 and what they actually do, what Jill and Chris does, you know, after Raccoon City blows up, and you get to see Carlos Oliveira for the second time again, which is really cool. Yeah, I like Umbrella Chronicles. I feel like they really reused a lot of assets from you know, the days of the GameCube games like Resident Evil 0 and, you know, Resident Evil 1 Remake. But overall, it's a fun game, man, and it takes you back to the good old days, and it's an on-rail shooter, so it's a different, you know, way to go back, you know, and explore. It's not as good as Darkside Chronicles. It is a good game, though. It is a good game. I played a little bit of it with my ex-girlfriend, but I would love to go back and play this on stream with somebody. That would be fucking awesome. Like, really awesome. But yeah, Umbrella Chronicles, it's in the good category. It's in the good category. All right, let's move on to Resident Evil Survivors. This game isn't good. It's not good. There's no reason. It has like, well, see, here's the thing. And the reason why this game isn't good is because it's like Dead Aim, but I think it's more of a first-person shooter, and first-person shooters back then just weren't that good. They weren't good. The first good first-person shooter that I can think of was GoldenEye 007 for fucking, you know, N64. And even then, the controls were all fucked because, you know, the N64 controllers, it's a phenomenal system and everything, but those controllers fucking blow. I'm sorry. If you get mad at me, that's fine, but those controllers suck. Anyways, but Resident Evil Survivor, it's a side game, it's not canon. The main protagonist is called Ark Thompson, which right there, it's got to be a shit game, right? Everything in the game is a little bit it's way too easy. And it has a lot of reused assets from Resident Evil 2, because it is a PS1 game. You know what I mean? It is a PS1 game, a late PS1 game too. It was made in 2000, so like right before they were switching over to the PS2. So yeah, Survivor isn't good. There's like a new gas mask enemy, which I mean is cool and everything, but I don't know if it's a significant change, really, all that much in Resident Evil. And Mr. X is in the game, but he's kind of a pushover. He's way too easy and not really fun to fight. So Resident Evil Survivors is garbage. Honestly, I think that the game really just is a bag of shit. It's a bag of dicks, man. This game fucking sucks. So, alright. So now we get to Resident Evil 0. I've said this before multiple times, and I will say this again. Resident Evil 0, I don't like this game all that much. I'm really not a big fan of it. I think that it's cool that you get to, you know, know what happened to Rebecca and how she got to the mansion before, the first game. But other than that, I don't really like Billy as a character. He's kind of bland. He has a cool, I guess, backstory, but he's kind of bland. He doesn't really have that great of a personality. And Rebecca's very inconsistent in Resident Evil 0. She's this strong, heroine in Resident Evil 0, and then in Resident Evil 1 Remake, she's all shy and timid. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's very, inconsistent, like I said. Because there's no way that Rebecca is going to be scared of a hunter, after she's already beaten hordes of hunters. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I mean, but those are just the negatives. I don't really like the whole split system where you split back and forth with Rebecca and Billy. It should have been a co-op game. This game should have been a co-op game. That would have been really fucking fun. And it just would have been a great time. But that's where it falls off for me. You separate, from Billy or Rebecca, and the AI, if you tell it to shoot, it just kind of blows your fucking ammo. So yeah, Resident Evil 0. I'm not the biggest fan of this game. It's a decent game. It's average to me. But the things that I like about this game are the train section. Definitely, that is the best and only, I think, honestly, the only real good part about the game is the train section. Like, it's super tense. And you get to fight a giant scorpion boss, which is awesome. So, yeah, like I said, Resident Evil 0 kind of falls off. Not really, but it kind of falls off after the train segment. And that's it, And then the game is kind of like wishy-washy throughout. There are some cool parts, some cool enemies, and then you got really hard enemies like the Eliminators, and even the hunters in the game are fucking hard. The zombies' hitboxes are way too fucking big, and I don't know. And the Eliminators, they fucking jump around like hunters in the very first game. It's not, and they're fucking tiny too. It's hard to auto aim in their direction because they're moving around so much. I don't like the Eliminators. They're the worst enemy ever in Resident Evil games, I think. So yeah, Resident Evil 0 firmly planted over here. So what else we got? Okay, I've talked about this before. This game is not. It's kind of garbage. All it is like Resident Evil 5 Mercenaries mode, but just with a bunch of different characters. It's cool to play as Barry and all that, but it's very fleeting and it gets boring. I actually just bought this game a little while ago because I have a 3DS and shit. It's not that great. Like I said, all it is Mercenaries mode. It's not a full game, so whatever. But I think a lot of the DS Resident Evil games are really fucking good, like good quality too. So yeah, that's how I feel about Mercenaries, Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D. It's not a full game, so there's no reason why I would put it any higher. There's no reason, because you could just make a game and attach this to the game, and this would boost my opinion of a game, that's for sure, but it doesn't do anything for me by itself. So yeah, let's move on to the worst Resident Evil game ever made, Umbrella Corps. Fuck that game. It's garbage. It's pretty much like a manhunt mission, like Call of Duty style. It sucks. It blows. It's not fucking good. The zombies are just completely useless and they suck. They're basically fodder, like background, type shit. It's like, oh yeah, this is a Resident Evil game because there's zombies in it. No, it's not a Resident Evil game. Go fuck yourself. This game sucks, and whoever bought this game, I feel bad. Like, I feel really, really bad for people who bought this game, like, because you got robbed. You got robbed, ma'am or sir, you got robbed. Like, this game is fucking trash. You lost interest after the train? Yeah. Yeah, Resident Evil 0, I lost interest after the train too the first time I played it. But yeah. But like I said, Umbrella Corps, don't even fucking pick this game up. I know it's only like a couple dollars on the PS4 store. Don't fucking pick it up. It is not a good game whatsoever. Fuck this game. Let's move on to something better, but still kind of shit. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. This game is a fun time with friends, but I played it by myself, and it's not that great. Kind of like Resident Evil 5, but the co-op mode in this game is not nearly as good as Resident Evil 5. This game kind of sucks. It's pretty much all action. It's like a step up from Umbrella Corps, but not really. I mean, you have all the enemies from Resident Evil, really. You got fucking, you got Mr. X and whatever, and Nemesis. And Nemesis sounds horrible. You guys think he sounds bad in Resident Evil 3 Remake? Holy shit, he sounds horrible in Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. It's that alone made me want to be like, okay, I don't want to play this game anymore, man, because I was playing with my friend online. But I mean, I stuck it through. The ending of this game is fucking stupid. You have the choice to kill Leon and get the good ending or whatever. It's not that fucking blows. There's no reason why you should kill the best character in Resident Evil games, period. No reason why. It's bullshit. Also, Nikolai is in this game. He's fucking with you and trying to whatever. I think Nikolai's alright in this game. He's not as cool as in Resident Evil 3, but the original, I mean. But he makes a statement, he's still alive, blah blah blah. Either that or he's doing all this shit during the events of Resident Evil 3, whatever. Point is, this game is not that great, very underwhelming, and it's non-canon because there's no reason why you would kill off Leon. So, but it is a really fun experience with friends, don't get me wrong. Yeah, especially playing online. This game is pretty fun. So, I'm going to put this in the underwhelming category and call it a day. Alright, so now we get to one of my favorite games of all time, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City was horrible, I think. Yeah, it wasn't that good. There was just so much being thrown at you at one time, and they had people shooting guns that weren't even zombies that you have to kill. It's like, and dude, those enemies are fucking annoying. Like, the most annoying enemies almost in Resident Evil games, period. Like, those fucking guys with the guns. It makes me want to shoot myself. Like, I'd rather shoot myself in the game than those guys because they're annoying. And it would keep me from getting even more annoyed. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Operation Raccoon City, I mean, how good is it really going to be, It was actually really cool that you get to fight William Birkin in the game, which I thought that boss fight was actually really fun. But nonetheless, everything else was kind of shit. So, yeah, let's move on to Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Like I said, let me take a sip of soda. Should have been a CG movie instead of a game. The trailer looked so sick. Yeah, but the game wasn't. The game was sick in a bad way, not a good way. Yeah, so Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. What isn't great about this game? Dude, just the music alone and the atmosphere in this game is enough and worth the money and the time and the effort to literally run this game 50 to 60 to 100 times. Atmosphere, they nail the atmosphere in this game. And not to mention, this game births from the vagina of Capcom, births the best tyrant villain ever created in Resident Evil history, and probably one of the scariest monsters ever created, period. Even in movies, I would be so much more scared of Nemesis than Jason Voorhees, to be honest with you, to be quite honest. Because this motherfucker, he looks terrifying, he packs a punch, he can use rocket launchers and shit. He's just huge and bulky and just, he fucks your shit up. He will fuck you if you are not careful, and not in a good way. He does not give a fuck. And he's faster than you in the game, so it's hard to run away from him. If you want to put him down, it takes a lot of bullets, but if you do take him down, you get some extra stuff, like an extra weapon or weapon parts, or, you know, first aid sprays, that sort of shit. So Resident Evil 3 is the antithesis of what evolution should be in a game, because you had Resident Evil 1, which was very clunky, Resident Evil 2, which improved upon the formula of Resident Evil in general, and then you had Resident Evil 3. So many cool, so many cool mechanics, just controller mechanics in general, were implemented in this game. You had the 360 turn, which made its debut in this game. The shitty dodge mechanic is the worst part about this game, but sometimes it does save your ass, so it's not that useless. I've had runs you guys have seen where a zombie would attack me, and then, you know, I'd accidentally do the mechanic without even thinking about it, and, you know, and then I get away scot-free without taking damage. Like, it's a thing. It happens. So Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, by and large, is I think the best experience in a Resident Evil game, period. The city looks fucking grotesque and in a good way. Nemesis is terrifying. Jill, I really, really love her outfit. I love all the weapons that you can get in Resident Evil 3. My favorite weapon is the Western Custom shotgun. That thing is a fucking beast. I don't think you guys understand how good that shotgun is, because, you know, you get it so late in the game and you don't really use it that much when you get it, but that fucking that gun is probably the best gun in Resident Evil history, because it's so fast. It packs the punch of a regular shotgun in the Resident Evil series, and on top of that, you get a lot of shotgun rounds towards the end of the game. So, you know, honestly, like, the Western Custom shotgun is so good, and it's like, it's a shotgun, but the reload time is just so simple and easy. It's crazy. And then you got Nemesis, which, like I said, he runs faster than you. He's a fucking brute. He can use a rocket launcher. He can use his tentacles, and his transformations are really, really fucking cool. I don't really like his last transformation. I'll compare this game to the remake, you know, a little bit, but the transformations are, you know, are pretty cool in Resident Evil 3. The last transformation, however, falls off a little bit. Whatever, it's fine. I give that a pass, a bye, because, you know, it's still a fun boss fight. Don't get me wrong. But no, this game packs a punch, packs a wallop. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, if you're not expecting, you know, to be brutalized, you are going to get brutalized more than ever. This game does not like you. It does not want you to win, and I love that about this game, because this is honestly, like, this is one of the best games ever made right here. This, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 1 Remake, all four of those games are some of the best games ever made. It's just great. They're great games. They're great games. And, you know, like I said, if you put Nemesis down, he drops, you know, weapons and stuff like that. And then there's so many different enemies in this game. The enemy variation is fucking insane. And what I really love about this game is that it's not going to be the same every time you play through it, because some of the enemies and in some of the environments, they change. In some environments, you'll have a zombie, but then, you know, if you run the game again, differently, you'll have hunters or zombies. There's two options for every single room, basically, like later on in the game. So it's really, really fucking awesome. This game is so good. So good. Nemesis is awesome. And when you first see Nemesis, it's amazing because you meet Brad in the bar, and you have a conversation with him. You get to finally meet him after he chickened out and was a chicken shit and left in the helicopter to for you to die, literally not give a shit about your life. And then you talk to him for a little bit in the bar, and then you leave, and then you go to the Raccoon City police station. You open that fucking door, and right there is Brad and whatever, and then Nemesis pops down, and he's just like, raw stars, and just fucking rams a tentacle right through Brad's fucking head. Brad's dead, right? And then, there we go. It's on. The chase is on. And then after that, it's like Nemesis is just ingrained in your memory for all time. Like forever. Because that part in the game is so fucking iconic. That is the most iconic part in any video game, I think, ever. Because that introduction was flawless, Resident Evil, dude, Nemesis is the most badass fucking villain ever created. I swear to God, he stalks you, he runs faster than you, he doesn't give a fuck, he's ruthless, merciless, and he will stop at nothing to kill you. You can't take him down to save your life, and, there we go. That's Resident Evil Nemesis by and large in a whole. All the environments in the entire game are amazing. There isn't a bad environment, and there isn't a bad part in this game, to be honest with you. The clock tower is iconic. Dead Factory, fucking awesome. Water sample puzzle, hard as shit, but I love it. And then you go back to the Raccoon City police station. Technically Resident Evil 3 takes place before Resident Evil 2 does, chronologically. But, you go back to the Raccoon City police station. Some places are boarded up. You can't go there. It's just a great part. This game is fucking great. It's flawless in every way. So this game is going to go into the GOAT tier for sure. This game did a lot for gaming right here. All right, so let's move on. Resident Evil Revelations 2. I played this game recently. I don't like this game at all. I really, really don't like this game. Even playing with friends, it's not even fun. Playing by yourself is damn near impossible because you need the vision of the other person to get what's going on in the game. Some of the enemies are pretty cool. They're pretty cool. But the whole game kind of sucks. The fact that it's episodic. I mean, Revelations 1 was episodic, but it released Revelations 2 released in like sections, and that's bullshit. That sucks. The cool part about the game is that Moira and Barry, they have this they don't really like each other, and their father and daughter, because she accidentally shot her sister because of Barry, and she doesn't like guns because of Barry because she almost shot her sister. And then and Barry loves his daughter Moira, but they don't see eye to eye because they're father and daughter. Like, that shit happens, So Revelations 2, that's pretty much the only thing that it has going for it. I do like the final boss battle. That's basically it. Honestly, the whole time playing with Chris on stream was just, Chris is a fun guy. Like, there's no reason why I should be bored, but I was, and it's because the game sucks. It's not because, it's not fun to play co-op on a couch with your friend. No, that has nothing to do with it. This game fucking sucks. Like, 'cause you have two characters, and they need to be controlled by either you or your friend, and, one of the other characters is useless. Moira doesn't use a gun, neither does Natalia. She's just a little girl. She throws bricks. Moira uses a crowbar. It's not good. It's not fun, So yeah. What's up, Gavin? How you doing, brother? So yeah, man, honestly, have a good night, everyone. You're going to bed. All right, Dr. Mindbender. Peace out, brother. Mwah. Love you, man. Thanks for having my back, dude. All right. yeah. Hey, Gavin, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming into the stream. I haven't seen you in a while. What you doing, brother? But yeah, no. Revelations 2, this game sucks. It does, and it's just not fun. It's not fun. It's not exciting. None of those things. So I'm gonna put this as underwhelming. I think either that or maybe average. Yeah, I'll put it as average, but like bottom of average, because Revelations 2 is not good. It's really, really not good. Honestly, I don't think that Revelations 2 is better than Resident Evil 6 at all. No. So I guess I could put, I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're going to get to one of the coolest things on this list. This is Resident Evil Deadly Silence for the DS. This is basically Resident Evil 1, but even better. Like, it adds, new characters that you can play as in a special mode. You can play as Forrest Spire, the guy who got pecked to death by the crows. You can play as Enrico. You can play as all the members of the Bravo team. It's just so fucking dope. This game is awesome. It basically takes what you know about Resident Evil and just changes it a little bit, implements some new stuff. There's a Master of Knifing mode, changes up the extra costumes that you can get. Chris can be a ninja, which is fucking awesome. I fucking love ninjas. Who doesn't love ninjas? Come on. Any guy in the world that says they don't like ninjas, they're fucking lying. What's up, hard boy? How you doing? Or hard body, rather. How you doing? Love the streams, Evil. Personally, I agree with most of the list. It's your show, and my opinion really doesn't matter. But from one RE fan to another, Resident Evil 7 is S tier. Love that game, and Resident Evil 4 B tier. Okay, fair enough. I completely understand. Where you're coming from with that. I think the only reason why I say that Resident Evil 7 isn't as good as a lot of people make it out to be is just because like the last part of the game is just really not that great. It felt like, okay, well, we have molded should be enough, right? That should make people happy. And it's like, no, like bring in some other different enemies, man. Like besides, giant flies or bees or whatever, like just give us something new. And it didn't. So it just didn't, honestly, it didn't deliver like I wanted it to. I had a fucking blast the first 3/4 of the game, but once I got to the ship, I was like, fuck this, and I put the game down, and I still haven't beaten it. And I've seen, I actually had my friend beat it on my console just so I can get the fucking, the achievement for completing the game. That's pretty much it. I do gotta say though, Resident Evil 7's DLC is pretty cool, not gonna lie. The whole, 21 thing where you have to cut off Clancy's hands and shit like that. Like that's cool. Alright. But yes, we're gonna talk about Deadly Silence a little bit more. This game is fucking awesome. It really is. I love the original Resident Evil, and it takes the original Resident Evil and it just changes it a little bit and, reports it to the DS. Master of Knifing mode is a thing. New costumes and stuff. New ways to play the game. Let's see. Oh yeah, and all the characters. You can play as Barry. You can play as Wesker. Whoever the fuck you want. You can play as Rebecca. You can play as Forrest Spire. You can play as Richard Aiken. Enrico. You can play as anybody you want in Deadly Silence, and it's honestly the best port of the original game. So I'm gonna put this obviously right here, but I'm gonna put it up above the original Resident Evil for sure. Alright, so now this is the moment that everybody's been waiting for. Resident Evil 7, I wish Ethan had a personality. Yes, that I agree. Ethan is not, he does not have a good personality whatsoever. You're absolutely right. Last part was weak and needed more enemies. Very true. Yes. Thank you for agreeing, because like I said, I got bored of the game because it starts off so heavy and just in your face with Jack Baker and Mia trying to kill you and fucking, and then you got fucking bees coming out of somebody's pussy. It's like, what the hell is going on here? And then Lucas Baker, he's a sick, sadistic son of a bitch. And then it's just, oh, we're on a ship. And, oh, shit, we have no more weapons. Oh, okay. That sucks. And then you have to find a handgun again. And then you have to go through and sneak through. And then you have to, and then you get a machine gun. And then it becomes a lot more actiony. And then you get to the salt mine, and then there's hordes of the fucking molded everywhere, so you got to shoot them down. And it's just like, it reverts. It's perfect survival horror in the first 3/4 of the game, and then it flips over to like action. And that's not cool, man. Come on, I don't know, but Resident Evil 7 is a great game. I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I was just bored. Out of my mind, like senseless at the last part of the game. Alright, so, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, Resident Evil 3 Remake. I'm gonna actually talk about Resistance first, because there's a lot of shit that I have to say about Resident Evil 3 Remake that I haven't really even discussed with you guys, because, alright. But just because, I wanted to save it for this, and it's taken me so long to do this finally, but now that October's over and COVID settled down a little bit and I'm getting used to my sleep schedule and my sleep schedule's back and everything, I thought it was a good time to do this. So Resident Evil Resistance, I'm just going to say this right now. Resident Evil Resistance was a lot of fun when I played it, but it was very fleeting. I thought it was really cool that you could play as, you could be William Birkin. You could be Mr. X. You can be a zombie or a licker or a zombie dog, or anything any enemy in Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 you can be. I thought that was fucking awesome. And having to be able to, you could play with a group and of people and whatever, that is also really fucking cool. I really, really liked that. Honestly, I really did. I loved it, actually. But it's just really boring. It's really boring. And it sucks to say. I wish I was playing it right now, but honestly, I don't really like it. And, you could play as William fucking Birkin, for crying out loud, and I don't want to play it. It's just not that good. It was a selling point for most people for Resident Evil 3 Remake. And, obviously Resident Evil 3 Remake itself. But Resistance, it's not that great. It's very fleeting, very boring. And honestly, I get kind of confused when I play it. I don't really know what to do, And it's one of those types of games where you gotta play and keep playing and play forever, or else people are gonna outrank you. And then you're kind of fucked, you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna be able to win. So yeah, Resident Evil Resistance. Let's see. I don't think that it was underwhelming, per se. I feel bad for putting Resident Evil 6 in underwhelming, so I'm gonna probably bump it up a little bit. But Resident Evil Resistance, it was a nice concept and thought. Oh, Wrestling Forever, what's up, man? How you doing? Hello, everybody. Sorry to be late. It's all right, man. It's good to see you in the stream, man. Let's see. Resident Evil 1 Remake was the best. Then Resident Evil 3 Nemesis for me. Yeah, I completely agree. Hey, Wrestling Forever. Would you do me a favor and message me on Instagram, because I have a chat for only mods. I have a chat for mods that will, and we all talk and whatever besides just the streams, and talk about the future of the channel and what you guys want to see and whatever. So yeah, Yeah, Wrestling Forever 93, definitely send me a message on Instagram so that way I know it's you. And you know, I'll add you to the mod the mod group. Okay. So yeah, Resident Evil Resistance is going to go in it's going to go in the average pile just because I really like the fact that you can play as, you know, Mr. X or William Birkin. I really enjoy it. Or at least I enjoyed it for the first couple hours that I played only, and that's it. I kind of put it down, but whatever. You don't have Instagram, unfortunately. Alright. That sucks, but whatever. But yeah, welcome to the stream Wrestling Forever. Thank you for hanging out. Alright, so now we're going to get to the moment that you guys have been waiting for. Resident Evil 3 Remake. I was reminded when I played this game on stream. Hold on, let me take a sip of soda because, hey, Wrestling Evil, I watch your stream pretty frequently. Do you ever play Silent Hill games? No, but I'm just waiting to finish up another game so that way I can play different series and whatever. The thing is, I want it to be slow. You know, I wanna play different games, but do it slowly because I don't want to run out of horror games to play. There's a lot of horror games, but I could play all of them within, like, you know, a couple years. Like, within the next 5 years, I could play all the horror games ever made. And I don't want to do that, so that's why I take my time. You know what I mean? Well, I eventually want to do that, but I don't want to do it so quickly that you guys are just like, oh shit, what are you going to play next? And I won't even know. But yeah, glad to see the chat full. It's nice. Yeah, I know, right? 10 people in. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. You guys are awesome. So yeah, Resident Evil 3 Remake. So hold on. I was reminded, of my feelings for Resident Evil 3 Remake. That's another reason why I wanted to do this tier list today. I was reminded of the reasons why I don't like it and why I do like it. And I'm going to really break this down to the point where you guys are going to be like, oh shit, you're right. So, bear with me. Resident Evil 3 Remake is not a good remake at all, period. They took way too many things out of Resident Evil 3, the original, and they took way too much shit out of Resident Evil 3 Remake, as opposed to the original. No clock tower added at all. You see it in the background for a little fucking bit, and that's it. No dead factory. Gone. Completely gone. Either that or just changed. And, you know, that other thing was the dead factory, which that was bullshit. Sorry, you can run it in 5 minutes. There's an achievement for it. No. No thanks. But Resident Evil 3 Remake takes so much shit out. Like I said, the whole clock tower part where, you know, fucking Nemesis shows up with the rocket launcher and blows up the helicopter after you think you're safe and you're done with Nemesis. Finally. And then he comes out of nowhere, blows up your only means of escape. Your only means of escape. And that part was taken out. Why? Why was it taken out? I don't get it. It's just one of those things that really, really fucking pissed me off. I didn't really like the music in Resident Evil 3 Remake. I thought it was shit. Just like Resident Evil 2 Remake. I didn't really like Resident Evil 2 Remake's music either. And they didn't even bother to, I mean, they added the save room theme, which honestly, the save room theme in Resident Evil 3 Remake is the best save room theme of all time in Resident Evil games. You guys can argue with me all you want, but that is the best fucking save room theme. It's so good. So good. But best part of Resident Evil 3 Remake is probably the gameplay. I'll get to that. This is going to be a firm what's it called? Analysis of how I feel, and what I feel like happened to the production of this game. First of all, so I went over the clock tower being taken out. I went over the dead factory being taken out. There's just a lot of things that were taken out, and it's really fucked up. Like, for example, not only just the areas, they took out the scene, the selection part of the game that made Resident Evil fucking fun. You could do something or you could do something else. You had a choice of whether, oh, do I want to battle Nemesis or do I want to go into the RPD right away? You didn't have that in Resident Evil 3 Remake. Fucking bullshit. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why can't you have that in a game? What? Why not? Like, I really want somebody to give me a proper excuse on why that can't be in a modern fucking Resident Evil game. I don't get it. That, it was like, oh, it takes you out of the immersiveness. Yeah, no it doesn't. Sorry, you're wrong. Because Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was fucking perfect. That sequence alone, every single time you had a choice to make, that was nerve-wracking in itself. And then when you got fucking Nemesis running towards you with a goddamn rocket launcher, that was fucking tense as hell. In Resident Evil 3 Remake, you didn't have that. You did not have any of that. It was bullshit. And not only that, but Resident Evil 3 Remake is so short that you don't even get to enjoy most of the shit in the game because it doesn't matter. It doesn't look as good as Resident Evil 3, the original. And Resident Evil 3, the original, was made, what, in 1999? 20 years ago? Really? Really? Come on. That's bullshit right there. And then, and then the first part of the game, in Resident Evil 3 Remake, you see Nemesis and he's trying to attack you. That reveal is fucking lazy. That is the laziest reveal in any video game ever. Nemesis is a big deal. He should be taken as such. There should be subliminal things coming out of random places, like a tentacle somewhere, or like a guy getting grabbed by a tentacle, or what, just subliminal things before you get to where you need to be. And honestly, Jill doesn't even go to the fucking RPD to begin with in Resident Evil 3 Remake, so that doesn't even fucking matter right there. It's Carlos that has to go. I do like that part, don't get me wrong, but Jill should have went. Jill should have went to the RPD. It happened in the original. Why can't it happen in, why can't it happen in Resident Evil 3 Remake? Why? What's the purpose of that? Like I said to you guys, and that's why I love Resident Evil 3 Nemesis so much, because that reveal of Nemesis is fucking iconic, and that was taken away from us. And that's why people don't like Resident Evil 3 Remake, and I understand why. I understand completely. That alone. Okay, and then, like I said, the game is so short, you can't even really enjoy it or sink your teeth into it. It just wants you to play it again and again and again to unlock fucking rocket launcher. You don't even want to play it after the second time. It's kind of boring, honestly. The game is kind of boring. So not only is it short, takes parts of a crucial game in the series out as a remake. As a remake, that is not a remake. I'm sorry. Remakes are Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 1 Remake. Those are fucking remakes. Resident Evil 2 isn't a solid remake, but it's damn so much fucking better than Resident Evil 3 Remake. So you got all those things that are wrong, right? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There is no random enemy spawning. There is none. And actually, like when you go up in difficulty, I didn't play on hardcore mode because I didn't give a shit. But as you go up in higher difficulty, there's more and more enemies in different places and whatever, and all that stuff. Cool. All right, whatever. But you don't even want to play those modes because it's just like, what the fuck is the point? And then on top of that, they took out Mercenaries mode, which is a big fucking mistake. That was a huge mistake. Really, really, really bad fuck up there on Capcom's part. And not only that, we're not getting any DLC for the game. Why? You guys would make so much money on that if you would just maybe update it so that way you can put more parts in the game that you didn't have in there prior. Or to add a Mercenaries mode to make everybody happy because you fucked them. That in itself, Resident Evil 3 Remake, it should not have been even $40. It should not have even been $40. Or I think it was actually $60. It should not have been $60. It should have been $30 at max, even with Resident Evil Resistance included, because fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. That sucks right there. And then on top of that, Nemesis is a fucking pushover. You can down him with a hand grenade. Fuck that. Get the fuck out of here. Don't even get me started on that. Nemesis is a fucking bitch in Resident Evil 3 Remake. There is no redeemable characteristics from the original, put into this new Nemesis. He fucking sucks. Even his design. His design is fucking stupid. He looks like a Picasso painting. I thought that was cool and interesting before I actually played the game. But now when I think about it, it just looks like shit. Resident Evil 3's iconic looking face in the original is the only way that he should look. He shouldn't have a bunch of random steampunk parts on him. He shouldn't. There's no reason why. And then he just shows up so early in the game, which is very, very wrong. That was wrong, a wrong thing to do. Because that literally it's just like, okay, I saw Nemesis. I saw, and I wasn't impressed, And then that's the tone you have for the rest of the game. You're just like, all right, what is this game then? What is it? What is it? But there are, and like I said, Nemesis's design, the second stage Nemesis is not there. It's replaced with an alien, something from an Alien movie. The movie Alien with Sigourney Weaver. Like, don't you think that there's enough pop culture things, and even horror games made with Alien in it? Like, do something different. Do something different. Make a really, really cool, grotesque thing happen. Give him fucking spikes on his arms. Do whatever the fuck you want. Just give me the second form that we deserve. You know what I mean? Like, because when he had his fucking, limiter vest, burned off, he looked fucking badass, man. He looked badass. And we didn't get that in Resident Evil 3 Remake. Not even close. So that sucked right there. And then, I do gotta say, I really liked the final form of Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 Remake as opposed to the original. That was cool. I didn't really like the final form of Resident Evil 3 Remake, but I play the game. It doesn't fucking matter to me. But I prefer the final boss battle of Resident Evil 3 Remake. I thought it was very innovative and cool. And that's like the only thing about the game that was innovative and cool. So then we get to the characters. Now, I really, really love the characters in this game. I love their personalities. It's honestly the voice acting and the way they communicate is a lot better than the original. Yeah. I mean, it has a lot more characters and shit. It brings Kendo into the mix again, which is really, really cool. Because in Resident Evil 3, the original, you didn't see Jill, talk to Kendo or anything. There was a note there, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, the voice acting was phenomenal in Resident Evil 3 Remake. I do gotta say that. The game looks alright. The game looks alright. I mean, the game looks good from a graphical standpoint, but it's alright. I don't feel like there was much detail put into the game. As much as, we should have gotten anyways for the money that we paid for the fucking thing. So right there, that's a problem. And then, and then you have the enemies. There's not as much enemies in Resident Evil 3 Remake as there was even in the original. And like I said, the original was made 20 years ago, guys. 20 years ago. over 20 years ago. It's 21. That game is of legal drinking age right now. Right now. So there's something wrong there. And then, you know, but like I said, I love the voice actors for this game. It's really cool. I like the personalities of all the characters in this game. Also really, really good. The fact that, okay, Marvin, you get to find out how he got injured. That's really cool. I really like that because that's a plot hole that I've always wondered about. And they answered that question, which is very cool. But the problem is that to do that, they had to sacrifice the death of Brad, which was the most iconic death in Resident Evil history. The most iconic death and the most iconic moment. The most iconic fucking moment, because that introduces you to the big guy, the big baddie. And, you know, that sucks. It really does. But I thought it was cool, too, because now you get to find out what happened to Marvin and whatever. I don't even think Resident Evil 3 Remake is the canon version of Resident Evil 3. I think they just threw the game together because they wanted to make money, but also, like, improve upon all the, I guess, shitty things about the original Resident Evil 3 Remake, like the dodge mechanic. Obviously, Resident Evil 3 Remake is all about the dodge mechanic. You have to rely on it. So yeah, the dodge mechanic is all right in Resident Evil 3 Remake. You know, the combat, I guess, is really, it's all right too. But yeah, no, not having that decision to make, you know, when you're facing Nemesis is kind of a bummer. It really is. But Resident Evil 3 Remake is way too short. It's not complete. And honestly, I noticed something last time I was playing. When you have an area that has a full view and you look at the enemies, they move really weird. They move really glitchy, and that is not fucking good. You can't put out a game that's like that. That looks terrible. Especially when those face hugger zombies are on screen, which is a new thing that they brought into the Resident Evil 3 Remake. Did I like it? Not particularly. I didn't even really care about it, to be honest with you. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought the design was a little bit weird. Kind of looks like a butthole on a zombie's face. But nevertheless, it was something interesting, something new, so whatever. I'm not going to complain too much about that. The Paleheads in the laboratory, or whatever they're called, like regenerating guys. Those things are fucking annoying. There's no reason why they should have added anything like that into Resident Evil, to be completely honest with you. There's no reason. There's no reason for that at all. But, and also, the last part of the game, it's called the Nest 2, really. Like, we didn't have a shitty nest in Resident Evil 2 Remake. You had to make another one? No. No. But, yeah. So, I mean, by and large, that's how I feel about Resident Evil 3 Remake. I love Carlos. I think that he makes the game fun. Like, because he has just such, he oozes with personality. Like, all these characters do, besides Nemesis, the only character that should. And that's a bummer, man. It really is. But, also, I did want to say, Resident Evil 3 Remake had a lot of flaws, like I said. I think that Resident Evil 3 Remake was made, and they were just like, okay, well, let's fix the flaws of the game and just release it as, like, a retelling of a game and make it kind of short, you know, short and sweet, so that way you get more detail and whatever from the original game, which is, if they were marketing it as that and it was cheaper, then fine. I wouldn't be so angry, but, you know, Resident Evil 3 Remake, the dodge mechanic was cool. Yeah, I really like the dodge mechanic. It's pretty cool. But yeah, no, and also a big thing that they take out in Resident Evil 3 Remake, which I was so pissed off about. I was really mad, you guys, like seriously, was the graveyard part. That was my favorite part. And the park. They took out the fucking park too. Like, you go into the park to battle Nemesis for, you know, second form Nemesis. It's not really anything that is worth anything. You know what I mean? It's not that great of a time, you know, and you don't really get to explore the park all that much. You go into one section, one segment, and then there's no house in the graveyard. There's no fucking, you know, graveyard place, whatever. Like, that fucking sucks, man. Because that's my favorite part in Resident Evil 3. I love that part. That's just like my favorite part. And they also take out the grave digger too. Which that's just disappointing. It really sucks. Carlos punches enemies was interesting. It was too actiony. Honestly, I really didn't like that. I would have liked for him to have a dodge mechanic too, just like Jill. But no, he has to be a brute because he's a man, right? Why can't Jill punch enemies? What the fuck, man? What are you trying to say, Japan, huh? Men are better because they could punch things? Fuck off. But no, anyways, it's like, I don't know. They take the Gravedigger out, an iconic fucking enemy, honestly. And that enemy was really, really hard too. They could have done a lot of cool things with the Gravedigger. But they take him out? Why? Come on. Don't even tell me that. There's no reason why they should have taken him out. But, you know, for a game that's not a remake of an excellent fucking game, it's alright. But because it has Resident Evil 3 on the title, it's just not something that I really like. You know, I liked Nikolai in the Resident Evil 3 remake, but I didn't like him as much as I did in Resident Evil 3, the original. Mikhail was really cool. He had a lot of really cool personality in the Resident Evil 3 remake, but that's it. That's all we get for Resident Evil 3 remake, and it just, it was a waste of money. It wasn't, it really sucked. Man, you were excited to explore Raccoon City in these modern graphics, but I was let down. Yeah, we were. All of us were. Like, that's crazy. You know? You gotta disappoint your fans like that after making a fucking masterpiece of a game like Resident Evil 2 Remake. Like I said, not perfect, but fucking amazing game. And then you make this pile of shit and you expect people to love Capcom again? No. I'm sorry. So, I'm gonna do what I need to do with this game because it's not even worth being in any of these tiers. I'm gonna put it in underwhelming and, you know, and keep it there because it doesn't deserve to be any higher. And Resident Evil Resistance is better than that game because you can actually have fun with it. You can actually fucking, you know, it's not a chore to play the game. It's actually a lot of fun playing with friends and whatever, and you could be fucking William Birkin. You could be William Birkin. That's awesome. That's all we've ever wanted, right? Just to be William Birkin in life just a little bit. Like, come on. But yeah, all right. So I'm going to go through all these games, and I'm going to pick which one I like the most, but I'm going to go from bottom to top. So, let's see. F tier. Yeah, Umbrella Corps is the bottom of the bottom. That's for damn sure. And then Mercenaries 3D. And then Gaiden, and then Survivor. Let's see. Umbrella Corps. I think that's probably on the bottom, just because it wasn't that great of a game. And then Resident Evil 3. I'm gonna put Resident Evil 6 behind Resident Evil 3. So it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be like this. Yeah, Resident Evil 3 is better than Remake is better than Resident Evil 6. I don't like 6 at all, like, cause the controllers don't do it for me. They just don't. I don't know why. They just don't. Resident Evil Resistance. I'm gonna put I think I'm gonna put Revelations 2. Over here. And then Resident Evil 0 actually is a pretty fun game, but it just has a lot wrong with it that I don't particularly like. And Resistance is in the middle just because I don't even fucking play it anymore. I played it like twice and I was just like, okay, I'm really bored. I'm never going to play this again. And then, alright, so we go to the good tier. Let's see. All right. Number 1 in the good tier would probably be Resident Evil 7. Because just like the opening alone was awesome, and then the Outbreak games after that. And then Code Veronica is ahead of Resident Evil 5 by just a little smidgen. Just a little smidgen. Resident Evil 5 is right here, and then Umbrella Chronicles right on the bottom. All right, and then the great tier. So, yeah, I think Resident Evil Revelations 1 is going to take the second slot here, because Resident Evil DS, Deadly Silence, that game is fucking awesome. It takes an already awesome original classic game and gives it a couple more modes. That's a win-win for fans, seriously. This game was the best idea that Capcom could have ever made, ever, period. But honestly, Revelations 1 is better than the OG Resident Evil, I feel. I had so much fun with Revelations. And then Umbrella Chronicles, yeah, I'll put it there just because it's kind of dark and gritty, and I like it. It doesn't use reused assets like it did, like Umbrella Chronicles did. It was a fun experience. But all right, so that's where I stand on the great tier, and now the top 5 games, obviously, of all time. It's clear to me, clear as day. You got 2 remakes and 3 original games. So I'm going to put, let's see. When it comes to having fun, Resident Evil 2 Remake is great. It's amazing. And Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 1, actually all these games are fun. It's so hard to decide. But Resident Evil 1 Remake is still my favorite Resident Evil game in general. I like playing Resident Evil 3 Remake a little bit more, but in terms of being the better game, Resident Evil 1 Remake is better, I feel, because it gives you the middle finger. It really does. It's just like, oh, you think you know the original Resident Evil? Oh, you think you do? Oh, well, let me change that up for you. And then fucking Crimson Heads. Dude. And Lisa Trevor. Dude. So, yeah. Resident Evil 1 Remake is a brilliant game. It's amazing. And then I'm going to go with Resident Evil 3 Nemesis for second, because Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is the game that I like playing the most out of every Resident Evil game, period. But it's that, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Resident Evil 1 Remake. It's that, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and then Resident Evil 1 Remake. So, yeah. And then, I'm going to put Resident Evil 2 right behind Resident Evil 3, because Resident Evil 2 is a phenomenal fucking game. It really is. It has a lot of things that a couple things that I'm very nitpicky about when I actually do play the game. I'm just like, oh man, this part fucking blows. But no, it had a consistent B scenario, and that's why it's better than Resident Evil 2 Remake, because it was consistent. It was a good game. It was consistent. It had 2 scenarios that you can play as, extra replayability. And then it had, hunk and tofu mode, and, even a challenge mode where you could play as Chris Redfield, which Resident Evil 2 Remake did not have. They kind of scrapped that. But no, it's just Resident Evil 2 Remake is better than Resident Evil 1. The original is better than 2 Remake, in my opinion. So I'm gonna put 2 Remake right here. Because, and that's why I think Resident Evil 4 is 5th place, because, like I said, man, running around with Ashley is fucking annoying. That's fucking useless. Get the hell out of here. It's useless. Like, it's just so frustrating. And if you accidentally shoot Ashley, it's game over, and then you gotta restart, and then you have to do that painful, segment with Ashley, and she has to run away from a bunch of castle demon dudes, and it's it's too much. I mean, the action in it is just too much. It's still survival horror, but it's definitely action too. But yeah, I'm going to actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Resident Evil 7 in the great tier just because of that opening, man. That opening blew my mind. Like with Mia saying stay away, and then, you know, Mia ending up, you know, turning into a fucking demon, you know, possessed murderer trying to kill her husband. That's some heavy shit right there. I like that. And I welcome that in horror, dude. That's for sure. And and that Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque moment where they're at the table, yeah, it's really awesome. But yeah, Resident Evil 4 is 5th place, definitely. Yeah, like I said, just because of the Ashley part, man. And also the QTEs. Those things are fucking annoying as hell. I really don't like the, you know, running from the boulders and, you know, the Krauser fight, you know, having to mash QTEs and shit. I did not like that. I still can't believe the voice actor of Sandy Cheeks voice acted Ashley. Really? Really? I didn't know that. What the fuck? That's awesome. Oh, Gavin, you just told me some really cool stuff just now. All right. I'm going to read some comments, and then I will end the stream. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, and hold on. Indeed it is. Okay, here we go. The best part of Resident Evil 3 Remake is probably the gameplay. It's definitely not as good as Resident Evil 2 Remake, that's for sure. I mean, like I said, the dodge mechanic is really awesome. It's really cool, but you have to rely on it too much, though, and that's where I draw the line, kind of, you know? Luke, I think they took them out to remove the desperate situation. What do you mean by that? Luke, I think they took them out to remove the desperate situation. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's proper to make a remake and, you know, not keep everything from the original in it, and take shit out of it. You know, they took way too many fucking liberties with that game, and it turned out really shitty. Resident Evil 3 Remake had so much potential, but it was just so short. It irritates me so much that it could have been great. Yeah, it could have, but definitely didn't hit that mark on that one. Resident Evil 3 Remake has to be the most disappointing remake ever created. Yeah, for sure. They could have finally added way more to it. Yeah, I know. It could have been fucking awesome. It could have been a 10-hour fucking journey, like Resident Evil 4. But instead, oh no, we're gonna take shit out. Fuck you, Capcom. Let's see. They could have. It could have been the best remake of all, exploring the city in 2K with Nemesis chasing you. It was lazy and a cash grab, unfortunately. I thought OG3 I thought OG3 was better than 2. Yeah, exactly. It was. I feel like Resident Evil 3 Remake is not worth $60. No, it's not. It's bullshit. They should lower the price about $20-$30. They really should. They should do that for their fans. I agree, unfortunately. I wonder if the developers thought having choices was either cliche or had creative block coming up with alternate scenarios. I mean, they just didn't give a shit. They didn't care. They were just like, oh, yeah, make an alright game and just we'll fucking throw it out there. Some glitchy piece of shit. And also, when I was playing when I was playing that on stream, like what, a week ago, fucking I noticed that. Hey, knock it off. Oh, he's eating my beef jerky. No, don't eat my fucking beef jerky, you asshole. My cat ate my beef jerky. That's awesome. I was just praising him for catching a mouse, and now he eats my fucking beef jerky. What a cockbag. Anyways, let's see. I like the apartment scene in the beginning. Yeah, but they introduced Nemesis way too soon. They should have really held off on that. I wonder the same thing. I wish they would quit messing with the formula and stay true to the original. Yes. There's a reason people love these games and consider them classics. Resident Evil 1 did it right. Yes, exactly. Resident Evil 1 Remake did do it right. The apartment scene was probably the best of all, I think. It was cool, but like I said, you know, they introduced Nemesis way too soon. The RNG factor being taken out is really disappointing. Oh yeah, definitely. I wonder what happened with the development of Resident Evil 3 Remake. Could have been corporate pushing or huge development error. It was corporate pushing. They wanted it out in a certain amount of time and, you know, to make money. That's what it was. And it wasn't clearly finished. So they kind of had to, you know, staple it together with fucking thumbtacks and send it on its way. You know? Resident Evil 3 Remake seemed as if it was only half made and too quickly rushed. Yeah, it became Nest 2. Who really wanted Nest 2 in Resident Evil 3? Raise your hands. Not me. I did not want a Nest 2 in Resident Evil 3. No. Never. And I can't believe they actually did that. What a cop-out. What a fucking cop-out. They couldn't have called it something else. They had to call it Nest 3 or Nest 2. Cool. Nemesis used to scare me as a kid. I wish I had that same level of fear in the original